There's so much to it. You'd need like 20 books just to say, okay, now that you can do this, what do you do with it? Use your imagination. Just think of what you can do with it. You can imbue artwork with it if you happen to be an artist. You can imbue music with it if you're somebody who creates music. If you do computer graphics, you can send it right through in the electrical signals in the graphics you're creating. Or if you're a writer, you can send it through in the frequency under what you're writing. Once you know how to run the currents and activate them in your body, even D12 current alone, the D12 Maharata current alone, what we're going to learn here about the spheres, chords, and balls, you can use this with just plain old D12 frequency, which means you can activate using the Hierophant symbol, activate your Maharic shield, then bring up a pale silver ball of light into the chakra and use that to activate, to the process we're going to do now, to activate the palm chakras and the cords that run down the arms. All right. Even the Maharata current alone is very, very powerful. When we get into using the phase currents, the Druidic phase currents, it's combining that power and putting it in very specific places, which gives it even more pinpoint, like bullseye accuracy. That's why it's worth, in some applications, to run a triadic phase current instead of just the Maharata current. But you can run the Maharata current much easier because you don't have to worry about opening seals on it. All you have to do is run the Hierophant symbol, get your Maharic seal up, your Maharic pillar up, and you will be able to build Maharata balls. You can also throw them. It won't hurt anybody. What's nice about this stuff is loving intention is very important. All right, because you're not going to be able to hold much Maharata current if you have a nasty intention towards someone. It's going to make you not able to hold it and run it. You're not going to hurt them, you're going to hurt you. So it's worth like doing the forgiveness thing and learning to let go of things, and however bad, whatever it was, I forgive. I suppose there was a higher reason for it. Let's leave it at that until I can know what it is, and I just forgive you, whoever you are. So you don't hold negative intention. Because if you hold negative intention, it just undermines your own ability to run current. If you're walking through the street, or if you're on an airplane and somebody hijacks it, for instance, if you're in that kind of situation, you can do something about it. Tackling the guy is not the best option. That's usually going to make the plane go down in some form or another, or get you killed. Sometimes you're lucky. What you need to do is run D12 frequency, activate your Maharic seal, build balls of the pale silver, transmit them into the room, literally through palm chakras. There's a 3-point transmission that's not in the book, where once you learn how to do the palm chakras and the heart chakra, which is indirect, you do 3-point transmission. If you want to really blast every frequency band in the space, you do not just 3-point, but you start with the 3 points, and then you run it from each of the embodied chakras that face out that way. And you can do amazing things, because what you're doing is you're resetting, just even with the D12 current alone, the Maharata current alone, you're resetting the subharmonics of the divine blueprint for that little Kodak moment in the photo book of time. Because that is actually a moment, like a still photo frame. Every moment is like a still photo frame in the memory matrix of the universe. And if you bring D12 frequency into that, you are bringing back what that it was supposed to be, what its highest level is. So you can actually get people to shift without forcing any will on them. Just simply bringing the universal Christos will into the situation without deciding what that's going to be, but simply knowing that you're going to be a vessel for the universal will, the Christos will, and the will of God to come through and be here. And it may get you to get up and do something, like go find a cell phone and call for help, which probably isn't a good idea because you just get shot down that way these days. But you will either get the guidance to do something else or simply sit and hold frequency. I've been put into positions that once I found out what they were and saw what was happening in the astral field, I said, "Get me out of here!" And I was told, "No, just sit there and run frequency. You're needed here." Okay, nothing had happened to me, but I'd sit in a space where there was like chaos going on in the astral stuff. You could feel it was like, nasty energy and people and stuff, and it would shift. Slowly the room would start to shift, and there would be a much more pleasant vibe. You can do this with children to help them. So there's lots of applications of what we're learning here. Okay. The karmic miasmic imprint, incarnational time vectors, and vector embedding. Now, if we get into this, we're not going to have time later. for what we're, the new stuff. So this is a section, there's a few pages to it that you can read it's in chapter 4. You can read this on your own. Vector embedding simply means that the, I'm going to describe that without describing 5 things before it. Karmic miasmic imprint. All right, I talked about miasms being antiparticle buildup in the particle field that create energy blockages. They are also the result of what's called the karmic pattern. We talked yesterday about how we have 1,728 minimum different selves running around in the time matrix at the same time. Okay? You're getting bleed through. As your DNA activates, you're going to get bleed through from their pattern, and they're going to get bleed through from your pattern. So even if you were pristine, perfect, and impeccable when you came into this life this time, which nobody is because the grids have been damaged, planetary grids have been damaged, you would still, as your DNA activates, be picking up and clearing, or not clearing, the miasmic pattern, the antiparticle buildup in the particle field of the other selves in the other time vectors as well. So it's better off knowing that that's there and that it's coming through and working with healing techniques to clear it. When we're working with running the D12 current, running the phase currents, we are beginning the process of derailing the miasmic imprint. The miasmic imprint's nasty. It's like a fly that keeps coming back to buzz around your head. You got rid of it once, it went away, and there it is again. Because it will keep coming back up. Each level of DNA template activation you have will bring up some new frequency, more consciousness, more awareness, and more miasms. So it's not like you fix it once and it's gone. As long as the planetary grids have any miasmic content in them at all, even in this time vector, you will continually be a miasm processing machine. Everything, every life form on this planet is. And that can either get you or you can get it back. Getting it back simply means transmuting. Humans were put here as part of the transmutation machine, because through our body vehicles we could take the distortions in the planetary grids and realign them to the Christos imprint. So it's not something being inflicted upon us. It was what our race was actually created to do in the first place. So miasms aren't something to be afraid of, but they can cause a mess in your body. Miasms are the cause of disease. Miasms come out of things like molecular compaction, when your template has been crushed because there's too much frequency coming in and there are distortions in the template that can't receive it. You have crushed template or reverse template sequences, mathematical sequences. You start to build up miasms, which are, some of them are completely reversed mathematical sequences, some of them are partially reversed, but by the time they get up through, and we'll talk about this later, this is the stuff that is one of the graphs that I worked on this morning, that shows the transduction sequence of literally how stuff goes from being in the template, primal life force current, all the way up into manifestation. You'll see how miasms literally track a reversed messy pattern into the body and then out into the hologram as well. So when we're working with miasms, when people talk about the karmic pattern, what they're talking about is the miasmic pattern that's coming up from the other time vectors. It's not that you were bad in one life, so you came up with this, some God is inflicting this punishment on you in this life. What is happening is you're clearing miasmic distortion. So we call it the karmic miasmic pattern. What your karma is your miasmic body. And your miasmic body, it doesn't, a lot of people attach karma to, well, you were bad, so you deserve it. And once you're good, you don't have any karma. And they get this real arrogant, snotty little attitude about it as if they didn't have any. Well, and that's really funny, because even the purest of them, if they live on this planet, hate to tell you, you got race karma, which is the race miasmic imprint. You got planetary karma coming through, which is literally the whole planetary imprint, not just the species, but everything that ever lived on the planet. And any distortions that left here, we're all getting those. So what we're doing is we're clearing the karmic pattern. There's no guilt associated. There doesn't need to be guilt associated with the karmic pattern. It doesn't mean you were a bad person once. It doesn't mean that. It means there were reversals that somehow or another, either by something you chose to do on purpose or because you tripped into something that didn't mean to do it, you ended up with mixed up mathematical sequences in part of your DNA template. And the remedy to karma is not, I'll tell you this right now, what it is not is calling on the Lords of Karma to fix it for you. The Lords of Karma is a collective, let's say, of beings in the interdimensional fields that go up to about D11 reverse that like to, they're masters of karma, all right. They're masters of making sure you're stuck in it. They're masters of making sure they're going to control the seals in your body rather than you controlling them. You don't need a Lord of Karma to fix your karma. In fact, if you have a Lord of Karma in your life, it's part of your karma that needs fixing. So if you run into any of those teachings that talk about the Lords of Karma The Lords of Light, I hate to tell you, are a branch of those guys. Anything that's coming from a place of integrity does not need to call itself a lord of anything. I'm a lord. Excuse me. That means, excuse me, I have authority. I'm more important than you. Kneel. That's what it means. They're trying, the ones that use those terms are trying to say that they are more important than you, that you are to be subservient to them. And they're trying to do that because they have so little energy themselves. If they don't feed off stuff, they need you because they need to feed energy off you because they know you're capable of drawing it in where they can't access the energy that's needed. So anything, little cues, lords, these titles of authority, particularly when you're dealing with the angelic kingdoms or fallen angelic kingdoms. Angels. Well, angels, real angels, don't call themselves angels. They know what the term angel refers to, a sixth-dimensional embodied soul, hopefully with a good intention. But they don't have to say, hi, I'm an angel, which means, listen to me, you're just a human, so I'm better than you. There's a whole line of nonsense going on in the New Age movement where we're taught to look at labels to mean higher means better, I'm lower, that's higher than me, so therefore I'm going to let it lead me. Heck, we're the angels. We're more than angels. We're more than archangels. We were the avatars. So if we can remember these things, it will help. The karmic miasmic imprint is an energy field that we have full ability to transmute in our own body without our life going absolutely crazy. You don't have to have karma explode in your face and turn your life upside down, which is what happens a lot of times if you're working with some other systems. You do not and should not hand your life, your beingness, over to any lord of karma who's going to help you fix your karma for you. You don't need another being other than your own crystal self to do that. And when you can understand karma as the karmic miasmic imprint, which is, on the physical level, becomes too many antiparticles in the particle field that block energy lines. They block chemical lines. They make chemicals happen that weren't supposed to happen. When you take it deeper into the template, they are reverse mathematical sequences that block axiotonals, block chakras. They block the natural flow of life force energy. They are simply an energy phenomena that needs to be demanifested. Now, to demanifest something, technically, you combine it with its opposite. Particle and antiparticle of the exact thing, when you put them together, they fuse and poof. They literally blow themselves out of the manifest framework. So, there are ways to transmute miasms. There are a lot of ways, and one of the best ways, and this is why we were late this morning, this is why I wanted to get you the information that we're going to have tonight that's on that disc, because the Vecca codes, combined with Merkaba technologies and Kathara running the Maharic frequency, are the fastest way to clear out the whole miasmic body, not just one little miasm level at a time. But if you run these codes and get them active in your body template, eventually with critical mass, where you do enough of the exercise working with the Vecca codes, they will start to be like karma eaters. They will start to literally transmute as it comes up out of your DNA. They will transmute the miasmic pattern, and they will begin to protect you from picking up any more miasmic embedding. Because miasms become embedded. They become like crystallized thought forms, is what they really are. But they're made out of actual units of, first, they go from Partakai units into kilons, and then they move up into the more complex structures that they become little Merkaba fields, reverse spinning Merkaba fields, all unto themselves, and that moves up into the DNA template, where they become little codes in the DNA template, and that moves up into the physical DNA, where they become chemical distortions. So miasms are nasty little buggers, you know? But we can easily clear them now that the Vecca codes are available to us. The reason the Vecca codes weren't given to us before is they have just activated, literally just this year, in the last couple of months, activated in the planetary grids. Before they were activated in the planetary grids, we couldn't have run them. We did not have the mathematical support in the planetary grids to run them. Now, we're going to have the ability to, you can understand, here's an image to hold when you think of karma, okay, when you think of the miasmic imprint. You know how we have the Kathara grid, the 12th tree grid? That, you know, tree of life grid that some of them call it? 12 points. Well, picture one of those that looks just like yours, but its numbers are reversed, where you have 12 on bottom, 1 on top, and you have bunches of them. They're all black circles instead. They're all blocked out energy circles, where it's literally running the reverse program of what your natural divine blueprint Kathara grid is. We have a miasmic body. We're going to talk about that a little bit more tonight when we get into the shadow self and the duality of consciousness. You know that part of you that no matter how good you want to be, always tries to get you to do the thing you know is not good for you? You know? You know, it can be anything from marrying that man to eating that piece of chocolate cake. You know better, and you're going to really try. I'm not going to do that. I know that's not good for me. I'm following my divine blueprint. But I really want that chocolate cake. Right? That duality of consciousness is not a normal phenomenon for human beings, but it's something we've been living with for a very long time because of the grid distortions that took place, especially since 25,500 BC. There has been something called the checkerboard mutation grid mathematical program put into the planetary grids, which literally creates an extra level of polarization where it turns what's supposed to be one thought pattern into two opposing ones, and we're caught in the middle of this. All right, so we have a phantom self. It's like a shadow self, a phantom self that tries to compete with us for our energy, and unfortunately our phantom self is usually what's manifesting our hologram. It manifests through the D2 emotional body, emotional mental body, partially through the physical body, and partially through the D3 mental body as well. There's a part of us that we don't know yet. That's the part that's running the anti-program to the program we're trying to run, whatever it is. Whatever it is, it'll take an opposite stance. Which means if you want to be bad, it'll try to be good. There's kind of a reverse psychology in there. I'm going to eat that cake. No, you're not. Right? The duality isn't supposed to be there, and it's caused by these miasmic reversals, this dark-colored Kathara grid that's literally taking the energy and throwing it into the opposite polarity and keeping you split in half. So as we work with clearing the miasmic imprint, we are progressively going to become less and less polarized in our consciousness. We'll have less duality in our consciousness. So we'll get along with ourselves a lot better. We will also find the same thing that everybody has on the planet. Plants and animals have this too right now. They all have a phantom shadow self. It's because of this that there is huge issues between genders. This holds the program that has caused gender polarization, severe gender polarization, where literally sometimes you swear men and women are speaking different languages. I mean, why didn't you understand me? What is it, what in these three words don't you understand? And either side can say that, and the other goes, what are you talking about? Did you ever find that? Where it's just like the most ridiculous things. Why are we arguing? Why don't we understand each other? I don't know. What we're doing in our male-female relationships out here is projecting out into the hologram something that's happening between the male and female aspects of our own selves. If you happen to have a nice, loving, peaceful relationship with your opposite gender in your life, with a significant other, good for you. That means you made peace with, and you have integrated and harmonized the piece of you. If you're a female, you have a male imprint inside of you as well. It's a part of cum and a part of K. You have part of cum equals the female imprint, part of K equals the male imprint. And they're in reversal right now in our bodies because of this miasmic grid. And it makes us fight with each other for the most ridiculous reasons. When really all we want to do is love each other. It's also the same thing that draws us together. This is where the male-female attraction comes from, or the longing for each other, or wanting to have a counterpart. It comes from the natural part of the Kathara grid that would naturally draw you together with somebody who has a similar Kathara grid to you that's of the opposite gender. But you have the reversal put in the middle of it, draws you together, then rips you apart, so you can fight from now until eternity. It is a very mean genetic distortion that has been done here. It's been done on purpose. And when we get into that more in the Templar workshop, but when you start to see the history here and what has been done, is imagine the vileness of the mind that could think of creating what has been created here. Men and women have been killing each other for years, if not with, physically, emotionally. It's still happening. Look what's happening with the Taliban. Look how they treat women. That tells them it tells you a lot about how they're handling their own emotional selves. What emotional selves? Kill it. You know what I mean? It will obey me, or I will kill it and trade it in for a new one. So all of these problems are coming out of the miasmic body. If you deal with these pieces, each piece of the miasmic body, you'll be here for another 4 billion years trying to get each little piece off and each little level off. So what we need to do is deal with the Kathara grid itself, the reverse matrix Kathara grid. That's the Kathara grid of the phantom self. And we need to work with that Now we have the vector code technologies that we're going to learn tonight. These are the ways to literally reprogram them. It's called radial body reprogramming, which is we'll get into radial body later. It's another part of the anatomy that's significant in the transduction sequence. But we're finally getting the keys to begin healing these things in ourselves. So when we're learning to run these currents, the Dreadic phase currents, we are beginning the process of clearing the karmic miasmic imprint. We are beginning the process of running D12 frequency into other time vectors. The karmic miasmic imprint's coming up from other selves of us in the other time vectors. If we are running D12 current, we are sending it also back to them. So we are helping the other selves that we are, as well as the selves that we are in this time vector. Vector embedding is a concept I'd rather you read about, because I won't even try to do that off the top of my head, but it has to do about the fact that every time vector is embedded in the DNA. In the DNA template, there are something called vector codes. There are repeating sets of 12 vector codes normally in the human 12-strand pattern. What we have now are about 3.5 of them operating out of the 12. The vector codes are actually the blueprints for our chromosomes. So right now our chromosomes look like they went through a meat grinder because most of the vector codes are shut off. Vector embedding literally is referring to embedded in your DNA are the time vectors. Your time vector here is embedded in the coding in your DNA, and so are the other ones. So as we're clearing karmic miasmic imprint, we're clearing not only our time vector and the mess it's making in our DNA, but the other vectors as well. Multi-vector holographic recoding through Maharic infusion. Now, the Maharic infusion is the process of using the Maharic Shield Liquid Light Cleanse on somebody else or something else, be it a mirror or a steak or whatever. Okay, multi-vector holographic recoding. Big concept. It's not as hard as what the words are to say. All right, multi-vector means multiple time vectors. Holographic recoding. You're recoding the mathematical template behind the hologram in multiple time vectors. And you're doing it through the Maharic infusion, infusing D12 Maharic frequency into the templates. So multi-vector holographic recoding is the process we're going to learn where we're doing it, where we're playing client and facilitator, where you learn to run the currents, open the currents, and then run them. We're going to run the exercises together. All right, the next, I think, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to run them right together. And we're going to learn to activate the currents, then we're going to go right from activation into demonstration. We're going to do them. There's 3. Let me see what the 3 are, because there's one in the middle. I was debating on whether we needed to do 3, but I decided we were going to. We're going to do on page, let me see, open in the heart channel, Dreadic phase 1. Yeah, number 3 we're definitely doing. Number 4 is the one I was wondering. I'm just kind of mumbling to myself here for a minute. Ooh, don't get poked. No, I'm all right. Technique 4, opening the healing channels, Dreadic phase 1. Yeah, we're going to do 3, 4, and 5 all together as a running sequence, which means because we need to break off into like pairs for number 5, which is where one person's going to play the facilitator and one the client, then you're going to switch off. We need to be able to do this pretty quick.
Yeah, can we do this technique 5 with them sitting?
With them sitting.
Rather, there's not room for people.
Yeah, this is going to be tough.
On their feet, all right?
All right.
Still getting the position, the composition.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we can. Yeah, that should work all right. Yeah. All right. Usually, now he was asking me if we can do this while people are sitting. Usually what we do, and usually we have about half as many people in the room to work with, in a room at least this size. We have people, one person will lay down and the other person will be the facilitator. We can do the same process sitting. We haven't done it before, but in the diagrams that you'll see are showing it being done laying, with the client laying horizontal, but it can be done because your feet can be accessed and your head can be accessed. And that's really all you need to do on the person that you're treating. You're going to use the chakras in the feet, and you're going to use the chakra in the head. So we'll get into that. I'm jumping ahead a little because that's number 5. So we still have to go through 3, learning to activate the currents in the body, and then number 4, which is amplifying the currents in the body, enough so you can do what's called a Kathara scan, where you can begin to pick up certain things in the field to see if there's any areas in the Kathara grid that need particularly more energy run into them. And then you'll be ready to do a client session. And if we get that far, then we'll find out what we're doing after that. We'll see what time it is by the time we get done with that. These do take a bit of time. This part, attitudes and etiquette and healing, the motivation to heal, postures of love, the framework for healing, and fully engaging the love vibration. This is more for you to read yourself and think about. All right, it's about your orientation to healing and what attitude you approach healing with. I mentioned a bit about that yesterday and about the necessity for love, but also tough love when necessary, where you don't get pushed around by, people. You're not going to let somebody that's messed up take you into messed up with you. It's worth reading this section. This one, the 6-step Baharic recoding session. It's Melchizedek Cloister. We get into this too. Melchizedek Cloister ordination and becoming a professional spiritual healing facilitator instructor. So these kind of all go together. This is the 6-step process. Okay, once you learn techniques 1, 3, 4, and 5, then putting them together where a client walks in your door. Okay, what are you going to do? You decide you want to do a client session. There's simply how to organize what you've just learned into 6 simple steps. That this is how you would conduct a session with a client. Then we'll talk briefly about what this means. Melchizedek Cloister ordination. What in the world is that? Yeah, okay. All right, this is page 204. Come on, here we go. Okay. Now, activation of any triadic healing current requires temporary release of the corresponding signet star crystal seals in the Kathara Level 2 crystal seals grid. Now remember the diagram that showed you the 4 shields, and then there are 3 little circles inside each of the 4 shields? They are the signets. They're the things that correspond to the star crystal seals that were those little dots on that chakra diagram where it showed the body and it showed the little stars in between the chakras. All right, these are what are going to open in your anatomy to run these currents. So you're going to actually run frequency through. It's going to come through your Kathara grid level 1, but it's going to stimulate and hold open temporarily the corresponding signets in your shields, and it's going to also activate the axiotonal lines, chakras, and all of the things that carry that same number, and we're going to be using D4 current. So all the D4s, all the number 4s, where it applies to your Kathara centers, your shield levels, your DNA template, all of that. These are the things that you're going to be activating as you activate these currents. Maharic D12 frequency is required to manually release the signet star crystal seals. This is why, if you weren't running D12 current with it, you would not be able to activate the signet seals in the shields. So you wouldn't be able to get the currents through. Okay? This is an interesting little fact. Most healing systems have not used any Maharic current because the planetary Templar couldn't activate for the last 200,000 years. So January 2000 was the first time, and they gave us this for February of 2000. This was like ready to be released in February, Kathara, so they knew what they were doing as far as giving us this information, because it's literally been ages since we've been able to run D12 Maharic current. Now, release of the signet seals also activates dormant strands in the DNA template, the ones that correspond to the frequencies that open in the seals, and releases, this is interesting, the cranial sacral seals on the Kundalini energies. Now, craniosacral seals are, again, there are seals in the pineal, in the cranium, in the head, and a corresponding set in the tailbone area. All right, these seals regulate the energy flow between dimensions, but especially between huva bodies, or density levels. When the seals activate, this is what pineal activation is about, and this is where you get Kundalini activations, where you start to feel things happening in your tailbone. All right, these things are going to temporarily, and they're like, when I say temporarily, they're little nanosecond bursts. It's not that they are open and they stay on for a bit. No, your bodies can't handle that here yet on this planet with the grids the way they are. Little tiny nanosecond bursts that go so fast that even if somebody was trying to photograph them and could get in there with a camera, they go so fast you wouldn't be able to catch them on film. But it's enough to bring the frequency down in through here where you can transmit the frequency. So you're going to begin the process of Kundalini activation when you are running triadic phase currents. Kundalini is 9-dimensional currents. When we use the word Kundalini, it refers to the primal life force currents of dimension 1 through 9, that whole bunch of them, which would mean it's the telluric current, the Doradic current, and the Turic current, trip over my lips, Turic current. Those 3 currents together are considered the Kundalini. That's considered the Kundalini pillar of energy, of life force energies. Up above that, you have the Maharata current of energy. And up above that, you have the Kirashe current, which is the primal light field. So the Maharata is D10, 11, 12. Primal light fields are the next current up, which are the D13, 14, and 15. And then you have Kundalini frequencies, currents, which are the primal sound field currents. All right. So we're beginning the process of opening the Kundalini currents, which are the lower dimensional ones, but they're also the grounding base through which the higher ones can come through. If you didn't have any of the lower ones open, you wouldn't be able to run the higher frequencies through very well. All right? So all these things are going to happen just because you're going to open healing currents. It's kind of neat. This is why it's like while you're doing a healing session for someone else, you are simultaneously healing yourself as well, because you're running the currents on the D12 Divine Blueprint current through your body. The more you run to them, the more you give to them, the more you're giving to yourself. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Where'd he go? All right, I'll do this real quick. I think we know this. I have to put these up here to read them. They're hard to read. Otherwise, Can you flip some more? Are you busy?
Yeah, I'm nearly finished.
Okay.
Which way around do these go? Which are the ones on
Codes. Okay, codes of Emmanuel.
Are these up here?
Are these? And these are the Emmanuel. Yeah, they're these. Yeah.
I've only got this to do.
Oh, excellent.
I can go through it. All right.
Excellent.
I might do the technique.
Excellent, thank you. Okay. So you're going to... All right. Yeah. We're getting the final pay stubs done on those things we're determined to have in your hands by this evening before you leave, so you can work with the Vekas. I was really excited about the Veka codes. That's why I would have felt terribly guilty if I didn't make the effort to get them to you, because they're the most powerful. It takes all this and gives it a power charge behind it, like a major power charge. So anyway, okay. Triadic phase currents are activated in the body by using the Maharic frequency from the PBIS, that's that planetary biofeed interface system. Remember that? Where your Kathara grid connects into the Earth's Kathara grid at the first Kathara center. Okay? To release the signet seals of the internal Templar complex. This whole system of internal energy systems that we've been talking about, everything from your chakras down to your core templates, are considered the inner Templar, the inner temple pillar, or the housing of the pillar of primal life force currents. So these are the inner Templar. The Templar teachings, there's planetary Templar teachings that have to do with stargates. There's galactic ones that have to do with bigger stargates. There's universal ones that have to do with even bigger stargates. But right now we're working on the inner Templar. And if you can understand how energy works in the inner Templar, you will very easily be able to learn how to run stargates and how to move yourself through them, which is a kind of fringe benefit of learning your inner Templar. Okay? Let's see. Okay, so it's running from the Maharic frequency is running from the planetary biofeed interface system, releases the signet seals of your internal Templar complex, and that allows the higher dimensional frequency to run through the physical body system for transmission into density 1. Triadic phase currents are composed of the three interwoven frequencies: the Maharic frequency plus the chosen dimensional frequency and its corresponding frequency from one harmonic up, as we talked about. Triadic phase currents are directed by their corresponding color capstone, the primary wavelength of the dimensional frequency band from which the current is drawn. Kathara Level 1 activates the first triadic phase current, the silver, D12, plus green, D4, plus violet, D7, Duratic phase 1 current. So here, this part here, the color capstone, that's referring to the capstone frequency is the dominant frequency or the dominant flash line sequence in any dimensional band, and that will give it its primary wave spectra. It may have lots of other colors within its light spectra, but the dominant light spectra, the strongest wave spectra, is its capstone. And that's where we get D1 equals red, D2 equals orange, D3 equals yellow, etc. Has to do with the wavelength that emerges from the rhythms of the flash line sequences. Okay? Now, Duratic current is activated through the Maharic shield, then collected in the fourth chakra. We make a Duratic sphere. Duratic, referring to the current, it could be a Maharic sphere. It could be a Turic sphere. We make a sphere of energy in the heart chakra, which means we're going to activate our current, our Maharic frequency, and we're going to begin to build frequency here in the heart chakra. We're going to build an egg of energy, or it's a sphere, really. It's really a spherical egg. It's like not perfectly a sphere, but you can make it a sphere. It doesn't really matter. You get the idea across to your brain like build the ball there. If it's an elongated ball, fine. Because it actually is, when we're building these things, when we talk about spheres, they're usually, because Merkabas, when they do form constants, what we're making are form constants. Those little spaces in between Merkaba fields that hold energy together, they are not perfectly spherical. They have a little bit of an ellipse to them, so they're a little closer to egg shape. Anyway, so we're going to collect the energy in the fourth chakra and make a diuretic sphere for this particular diuretic current. That's going to be projected down the diuretic cords. These are axiotonal line networks that run down the arms. This is how you're going to get it from here down into your palms. Okay, from there, it's going to be projected down the diuretic cords in the arms and into diuretic balls. You're going to make balls in your hands by popping the seals on the palm chakras, if they're not already popped, and building the current into little balls about the size of tennis balls. So you're building enough frequency in your hands to begin doing something effective with it. Okay? All right. And that will be in the palm chakras. You build the balls in the palm chakras. We start it there, and it builds out to where it's like holding balls of energy in your hands. This is going to be for direct induction of frequency. Now, direct induction is when you use the palms or the fingertips, which we get into later tonight, because there's something we're going to be doing with the Vecca codes that's going to trigger activation of the little vortices in the tips of the fingers as well. We don't have to worry about how to do it. It's going to do it on its own. All right? So when we are using the palms or the fingertips or both for getting very specifically into an area, that is direct induction. When we are building the frequency in the body and then projecting it out through the chakras directly, which creates a field, all right? It's not like doing a target in a bullseye. It's like creating a cloud of it in the whole dimensional field in the area that you're in. There will be different applications for either. If you want to clear a room, you can go around and touch every part of the floor and walls if you want to with your palms, or you can do indirect induction and just and blow it out into the room. We've actually done ordinations that way at some points. We can hold enough frequency. You can't do level 3s that way. But we've been able to do, I remember the second time I had to do ordinations, there was like 65 people in the room, and I figured maybe 3 would want an ordination, and 62 or something wanted one. And it was like half an hour before we were going to get kicked out of the room because the time was up on the room. So I learned how to do the indirect induction, and I was amazed because it really, really worked, and you could feel the frequency going. So I was like, oh, okay, that does work. So there will be times too when we use, like I said, the 3-point, where you're getting twice as much power. You're getting tightly focused power like laser beam and also like diffuse light at the same time. So you'll be able to feel out what you think is right. There's no here's where you use this or here's where you use that directly. When you're doing the Maharic recoding process or the Maharic infusion on a client or on food or on a mirror or on something that you want to really focus the energy into, it's best to use direct induction because you get more of a laser beam effect with the energy coming out your palms. But if you want to cover large areas, it's best to use indirect. There are times you'll use both, and those times you'll find a whole bunch of different ways to begin running these currents if you simply ask your Christos self to give you more guidance. You've got this much down. You know how to do this? Okay. Christos self, what else can I do with this? If you have a situation that there's anything at all bothering you in, simply take time to remember to ask your Christos self, what could I do right now with what I know about the healing currents? Is there anything I can do right now that would shift this feeling that I don't like this feeling about whatever's happening right now, that I can shift this? And it may be a feeling you're having because you're in a lousy situation on the outside. That doesn't mean you can't shift it. You shift the outside hologram by shifting yourself, not by trying to make other people be something else or do something else. You have to love them and accept them just as they are, even if they're being awful. But if you want to make a difference, you run the D12 Divine Blueprint frequency, and you can do it through pinpoint direct induction, or you can do it through 3-point induction. What you're doing is running Divine Blueprint. It will help, too, to think. You're not just running healing currents. You are running Divine Blueprint. This means you're letting the universal Christos will come into a situation. You're trusting that will in yourself as it moves through yourself, and you're being a vessel for which it can not only heal you, but come into the space. You are letting the return of Christ happen every time you run these currents. This is what was meant by Christos, by Christ. This is what Jesus taught. He was teaching people to set themselves and the planet free. That's why he got in a lot of trouble. Anyway, okay. Hang out there. So, what we're going to do is learn how to, and it's really easy. I mean, it takes so many words to explain the process, and once you get to do the process, you're like, oh God, that's easy. It's really not hard. So we're going to make the Doritic spheres. I can't talk this morning, I'm too tired. Doritic sphere, cords, balls, and we're going to open the palm chakras for direct induction. Intrinsic process of activating a triadic phase current. Okay? The first thing, and you don't have to do this now, this is just outlining the process for you. This isn't the exercise itself. All right? There's a technique that this is a summary of what you're going to be doing in that technique. First thing you're going to do is you're going to open the planetary biofeed interface system using the D11, D12 waveguide symbol, which is the Maharic waveguide symbol, the Hierophant. All right? Remember the six-pointed, flat, pale silver Star of David? Okay, we're going to start with that. I'm sorry. Oh, page number?
174.
174. Sorry, I'm so used to not doing that. I apologize. They have to keep reminding me, but I'm glad you do, because eventually maybe it'll stick, and it'll be a lot easier for any audience thereafter. So, okay. So we're going to open the planetary biofeed interface system using the D12, D11 waveguide, which is a Hierophant symbol, to open the 12th chakra and stimulate release of the Maharic frequency from the planetary Maharic shield. So what that means is you're going to activate your Maharic shield. All right? Just like you did in the liquid light cleanse. You're going to activate the Maharic shield, but you're not only going to draw energy and frequency. When you're drawing the pale silver current, you're not just going to draw it from your Maharic shield. You're going to draw it through your Maharic shield from the Earth's core, where there's unlimited supply. The more you pull in, the more you're helping Earth to bring in more D12 frequency. So you're going to be running it literally from the planetary shields, where the Earth is going to feed the energy into your system so you can move it where you need to move it. From the planetary biofeed interface system, you're going to draw Maharic frequency from the Earth's Maharic shield up into the dormant personal Maharic shield 12 inches below the feet to activate your personal Maharic shields. The first thing you're going to do is pull it up and activate your shield. Then you're going to choose the specific triadic current you desire to run. This is what you would use for running any of them. You'd pick which one. We're going to do Doritic this time because that's the procedure we have down there as far as being able to read it and not having to worry about what substitutes of color words I'm going to put into the text. All right, we're going to choose a specific current. We're going to use the inflow of Maharic current from the personal and planetary Maharic shield as a carrier wave to carry the capstone color frequencies of the signet star crystal seals in your scalar shields that correspond to the triadic phase current you wish to activate. What it simply means is you're using the D12 pale silver frequency as the carrier wave to carry whatever color frequencies you've chosen to run. And they're running through your crystal seals in the signet seals in your star crystal seals grid. All right, temporary release of the signet and the signet seals in the shields, and the cranial sacral kundalini seals, and you're going to activate the DNA strand template that's corresponding to the chosen triadic phase current by running the primary frequency and the frequency one harmonic above it through the signet seals on the Maharic carrier wave to open the Nada Huva body, which is the Huva body around you down here in your density 1 Huva body, to open the Nada Huva body and physical body systems to the inflow of the higher dimensional triadic phase current. So you're basically going to you're going to open your signet seals, your cranial sacral seals, and you're going to do this by running the frequency that you chose and the one that's one harmonic above on the carrier wave of the Maharic frequency into your Nada Huva body. That combination of frequency will release the seals so you can run it into the body. As the triadic phase currents transmit into the body through your signet seals, kundalini energies, and DNA template, you're going to collect and build the current as a sphere of energy within the chakra corresponding to the primary triadic current that you are running. Oh, another little twist. Which means if you decide you're going to run another triadic current, you don't always use the 4th chakra. You can run triadic current through any chakra, but you will get the strongest buildup of that current in the chakra that it corresponds to. So we're using the 4th chakra for triadic phase 1 because it's the D4 current. It's an astral field current. If we were going to use a different current, we would use the chakra that corresponds to it. D5 current, you would use the 5th chakra. D6 current, the 6th chakra. when you walk around transmitting through your head, basically building the ball in your head, like Isis does, like the cat does. We have a cat that does that. She does healing with her third eye chakra. She'll come up to, she can sense where something hurts in your body, and she'll put her head right on it. It's the weirdest thing to watch. She'll just put her head right on it and go into like a trance and kind of go, and she like digs her head right into the area. She like literally flattens her chakra right on the area. She must be transmitting D6 frequency. That's what she's doing. Okay. Anyway, so we're going to do this. We're going to run the current from the collecting chakra. So whatever chakra, this time the fourth chakra, that we're collecting it in, we're going to run it through the axiotonal line cords in the arms that corresponds to that frequency as well. Okay? But there are subharmonics in every axiotonal line that carry, like, even if you're on axiotonal line 6, it still has a D4 subharmonic to it. So you're not going to just activate one axiotonal line. You're going to activate the arm axiotonal lines, and they are all going to carry the subharmonics of that frequency down into the palms. And this is the stuff that's going to happen. You don't have to worry about most of it, but it helps to know what you're doing when you're doing, when you activate the current. This is just telling you what's going on in your body while you're doing it, so you can understand the process you're a part of, that you're, making happen. Okay, so you're going to run the current from the collecting chakra through the axiotonal line cords in the arms to activate the palm chakras. You're going to exhale current from the chakra collection sphere through the cords and allow it to build into balls of energy within the palm chakras before you begin transmitting to somebody else. So it simply means you're going to be drawing energy with the inhale up to bring in and build whatever chakra you're building energy in. And then when it's time to transmit, you're first going to push it down the arm cords into the palm chakras. When we first do this, there's going to be a little pop sensation where you pop the seals off the chakras if they're not already popped. And before we transmit it out there to anybody else, you're going to build spheres in your palms to get enough energy holding there. It'll make a much better transmission field for you. Okay? And you're going to transmit the triadic current. Listen to this. This is important. I'm going to push this up a bit. This is very important. This is one of the things that you can tell by watching what energy healers do, how they're using their hands, whether they're actually doing triadic currents or not, whether they're pulling anything more than D3, and whether they're pulling pure current or not. Because you're going to transmit the triadic current through the right palm chakra. That is the base electrical palm transmitting hand. You can transmit with both, but if you want to transmit well, you use the right hand. And if you want to push energy out, you use the right hand. You want to pull it in, you use the left hand base magnetic. Now we're going to get into in a minute understanding the hand chakras, because they actually do both. The front and back are opposites. Okay? So you're going to use the right palm chakra. You're going to transmit the current through the right palm chakra into the client's bioenergetic field while drawing more current into the chakra collection sphere with each exhale breath, and draw the current back through the left palm on each inhale. So you're going to push, pull, and you're going to use your inhale breath to control the flow of energy, and eventually you'll be able to use it to control the amount of energy. Little breaths will give you little puffs of energy. Hard breaths will give you big puffs of energy. Okay?
The energy that you're receiving in the left hand is from?
It's coming through the axiotonal lines. You will have a set of cords, you'll see in a minute in the diagram, a set of cords that come down both arms. So both actually are holding and storing energy. You're going to push, but when you start to push to direct energy, you're going to push it down this cord. Then you're going to pull it back up, push it down the cord, out the hand, and then pull it in this hand and back up this cord. So you're making like a loop. Okay, yeah, a circuit of energy. I'm sorry, what?
Always goes to the corresponding chakra.
Wherever the ball is where it, like wherever you've built the sphere. Okay, so if you're in chakra 6, it's going to go up through your head, right, and come back down. But when you're using Diuretic phase 1 D4 current, it's going to, this is the easy one to begin because it's like right there. Yeah. Not really. It doesn't matter if you're left or right-handed. It just matters that you put the significance where it belongs. On right hand transmits. It's a base electrical. It transmits more than it draws. It's more electrical than magnetic, and the left hand is the reverse of that. It doesn't matter which one's your favorite, but it tells you a little bit about if you're transmitting more electrical, or if you're basically more oriented to being electrical or being magnetic. Left-handed people are running more magnetics than people who are right-handed. People who are ambidextrous, who can write with both and have pretty much equal skill with both, are actually running a very balanced current on both sides. That doesn't mean it's better, because sometimes people, there are specializations that people choose for right-handedness or left-handedness, but it doesn't matter when you're transmitting the currents which hand it is, just so you know which hand to use for what purpose in the process. Okay. Now, to keep a clear, there's diagrams for this, so I'm just reading it to you first. To keep a clear circuit, so what you're transmitting down there, you built the current in here. So far it's pure. If you transmit it down here, just like this, what's happening to the back, do you think? Chakras are like little bow ties, remember?
Yep.
That link at the middle with a seal. If this one's transmitting, this one is going to pull equally. Which means, where's it going to pull from? If there's nothing on the back of your hand, it's going to pull energy from here. Which means it's going to pull it from density 1. Which means you think you're transmitting a density 2 current, or a specific current, but you just contaminated your current because the back of the hand chakra. Okay? What you need to do is this. Could you hold this please, Sophie? Just for a minute?
Yeah.
We'll put this up in a sec. Is that. Okay? Because what you have here, you have electrical coming out this way. This is magnetic that's drawing. This is magnetic, on the other hand. Magnetic creates a resistance field. Okay? So you will not pull current from here. It creates a repulsion zone, a magnetic repulsion zone. So it will just make the currents come out here, and it will not contaminate them with any currents that are coming in there. It doesn't matter so much when you're on the back pull, because anything you pull in through the back, if you pick up anything here, it'll clear it out as it goes through your system. But when you're transmitting, if you want to transmit pure frequency and know what you're actually transmitting, it's important to cover the back of the right transmitting hand. If you're using only D3 frequency, if you're only running Maharata current in D3, where you're not activating any of the higher ones, it doesn't matter. All right? Because you already have D3 frequency here. So if you're using any of the currents from dimension 1, 2, or 3, any of those currents, you can run this way without putting the hand over the back. It's only when you get up into the higher currents, where you don't want to contaminate them with the lower density energies, the lower frequency energies, that you would put the hand over. But that's most of the time. Okay? The Kathara program teaches you progressively to use higher and higher energies, so you want to be able to keep them pure when you're transmitting them. Now, there's another way to transmit. It's when you transmit directly, like I was talking about. You don't have to worry about that so much, because your chakras will be modulated by the central vertical current, so it'll pull in frequency, but it's not going to throw it back out this way. The hand chakras work a little bit different. There's not as much mathematical regulation on them. They're kind of like little guys that you have to control a little bit manually, but the heart chakra, when you transmit this way, it will pull in energy from the back, but it won't throw it directly through the seal out the front. But the hand chakras will do that. Okay, can we put that up? I'll just show you the diagrams that go with this, and then we'll get into doing it.
Is the heart chakra magnetic or electric or both?
Oh, God, I forget the list of them. Bass tone, overtone, resonant tone. Bass tone, it's magnetic. It's supposed to be magnetic. And what you will find are some of the best chakra systems out there are teaching them in reverse magnetic order. They're spinning them the wrong way. It's not that the people who are doing this are doing it on purpose. They're observing what is happening in people's bodies and assuming that that's the way it's supposed to be. Most people are running on a reverse Merkaba spin right now because of the planetary grid distortions. So what people, healers are doing as they're writing books about learning what they're seeing and explaining it, they're not realizing that the electromagnetics have been reversed in most people, unless they have a lot of help from their higher levels and they came in with some heavy activation in their DNA. All right. So you can again look at the chakras in terms of bass tone, overtone, resonant tone, bass tone, overtone, resonant tone, going up the numbers. You can also look at them in terms of the Kathara grid. Okay, the Kathara grid, the 12-tree grid, you know how it has 3 columns? They call them pillars. All right, you have the I get dyslexic with this. When you're looking at it, I should put this up if I'm going to talk about this. It's the yeah. But when I'm trying to explain it this way, let's pretend there's a Kathara grid here, right? You have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? Okay. This pillar here which is when you're looking at it, the right pillar. When it's on you, it's actually the left side of your body. Okay? Yeah. That one is the magnetics. So the numbers there are the magnetic ones, and they go down into, like, it would be 1, 4, 7, 1, 4, 7, 10, and 11, I believe. No, 1, 4, 7, 10. The middle one is the electrical pillar, and the one on the right side of your body is the electromagnetic pillar, which is the balanced polarity pillar. All right, so there's a lot of New Age things out there to talk about the path of the middle pillar, or the path of this pillar, or the path of that pillar. That's what they're talking about. You know, they usually tie it in with Kabbalah teachings, but what they're talking about is this. Anyway, this diagram is very helpful. It shows you what I was talking about with the hand positions. Oh, down here a bit. No, up. Yeah, not too far, but yeah. Okay, so it's showing you what I described. All right, as far as how the palm chakras work and how they have the little chakra, the counterpart of the chakra coming out the back. And it shows you the hand position to use. We have the right hand transmitting with the left hand over the back of the right, and that's how you get a pure current, okay, for a triadic phase current. This, you can pull it back down again. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, when I talked about the Doradic sphere, you're going to create the Doradic sphere in the heart chakra, and you would always have your Doradic sphere there. Technically, you could, if you were going to run Doradic current, but you wanted to run it into a different dimension, you'd still collect it at D4 because that's the chakra that corresponds to the current. But then you could take it from there and make little balls in the chakras you wanted to transmit out of, just like you can make the balls in your palms. So you could take frequency from your collection chakra, whatever it is, and move it to others, but you need your collection ball to be in the chakra that corresponds to the frequency you're pulling. In this, so we're using the fourth chakra this time. This is what I'm talking about when I talked about the chords. The axiotonal lines, which are bunches of lines that run down here, they each have their own dimensional correspondent, or flashline sequence, but they also have the subharmonics of the other ones. So what happens when you pick a triadic phase current, say D4, you will begin to run the fourth subharmonics in all of the axiotonal lines, which will braid together and give you a braided flashline sequence, or a braided current that comes out of the palm chakras. And here's where you build the balls. And it's the balls, you'll take the balls, and that's where you transmit through the balls here and pull through the one over here. All right? That's basically that. And now we're on the technique. Here we go. You're eating. Okay. Actually, I was going to do that after. Yeah, I did. I had said after would be better to do the actual thing. Okay. All right. This is the point that I talked about, that I had gotten a bit of guidance. We should do it right after the break so we can get up and move around and get our currents moving in the first place. All right. While you're on the break, you might want to try to play with your palms a little bit. Just try right now, without activating anything other than what you got. Try to breathe out frequency from Earth's core. Throw the Hierophant symbol down. Okay. Imagine a fast go. Throw it down. Then just bring up. See the pale silver light coming up. That's a real fast way to do that. And bring up pale silver light into your heart chakra. Blow it down your hand chakras and start trying to play with it and see if you can make the hands go by popping energy through the chakras. You probably can if you play with it a few times. It's like go play with your energy while you have your break, just to see what you can do. It'll also make it, you'll be able to run the current stronger. If you do that during break, once you get this running, it'll be stronger. I think we're not doing too bad.
You find that when you spend a little time working with the Maharic seal, and you begin to get the prompts from higher. I hate eating microphones.
Helps the whole thing.
When you've played with the Maharic shield a little bit, you'll find that you will receive prompts at certain stages to explore other geometric values. In other words, different numbers of pointed stars will be suggested to you. And there'll be times when you move with these other numeric values and you see them hit the Earth's core, and they will actually separate sometimes, and they will spin in complementary directions. When you've looked at things like the bivector and the trivector codes, it won't be surprising to see that sometimes they'll split into pairs, sometimes they'll split into threes, and they'll spin as they want to spin, and you just simply observe what they're doing, really. You don't have to tell them what to do because they know. At this stage, they know a little more than you do.
We won't be working with those till later anyway.
We won't. In fact, really, what I'm talking about is something that crops up quite a lot. It's hard for us to present material to you for the first time and then say, well, there are these other things that you might want to bear in mind as well, which there are. Our techniques are given in a way where it's fairly obvious which things are to be kept as they are. If a technique is telling you to pull in a particular frequency, you don't, in that particular situation, start to create your own technique by thinking, oh, well, I'll pull in another one, unless you have a specific reason within the body of instructions that are given. There are times, though, when a technique will develop with you, such as the Maharic seal, and it will start to, the process of being involved with it will start to provide you with new instructions. And there are situations in which you basically can't do anything wrong. All right? Some of the techniques are meant to be followed virtually word for word. And there are those areas of personal experience and growth in which your growth will occur spontaneously, and that's where you follow it. But don't reinvent the wheel. This is a wheel, and it's a jolly good wheel. Okay, so we'll start with technique 3. Opening the healing channels, the Diuretic phase 1 current. And as before, where I'm talking to you about inhaling and exhaling, let me tell you what the inhale and exhale components involve, and then I will tell you to inhale, so that the group does it together. So begin by breathing slowly and deeply for several breaths. And whilst you're doing that, and take your time and be relaxed, begin to visualize, if you can do it, or simply imagine or intend, as you're taking these slow, deep breaths, that on the inside of your forehead at the center is a violet dot, approximately 4 inches around. And spend just a little while visualizing or intending this color image to be as strong and as vibrant as you can possibly make it. Now move the violet dot from its current position to the center of your brain at the pineal gland, and immediately upwards into the 7th crown chakra. And allow it to move until it moves up through the inside of your head, upward and outward until this violet dot rests on the top of your head, at the position known as the crown chakra. Now call to mind the Hierophant symbol. That's the 2-dimensional Merkaba stars. Visualize the spinning Hierophant in its position 12 inches below your feet, within your Maharic shield. In a moment you will inhale and you'll draw the Hierophant up through the central body current to meet the violet dot in the position you left it, in the 7th crown chakra at the top of your head. So inhale now and draw the Hierophant all the way up the central body current until it meets the violet dot. When it connects with the violet dot, visualize it bursting into a 4-inch vertical pillar of violet silver light. And this burst of energy will transform into a violet silver pillar running down through the body. Visualize or intend that happening now. This violet silver pillar runs down through your body all the way to the earth core, as well as all the way up to the 14th chakra, 36 inches above your head. And when you've completed this element, you've activated the violet ray of transmutation. Now, move your attention to your heart chakra and imagine there at its center a small green spherical crystal, the green star, stationed at the core of the heart chakra. This is the green star crystal seal that controls release of 4th dimensional frequency, phase 1 Diuretic current, into your body. In a moment, we're going to perform 3 combinations of inhaling and exhaling. On the inhale, you'll draw violet silver energy from the violet silver pillar into the green star at your heart center. And on the out breath, you'll expand the violet silver energy into the green star sphere. So inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So begin the first inhale, drawing violet silver energy from the violet silver pillar into the green star at the heart center. Breathe in. And on the out breath, expand the violet silver energy into the green star sphere. Do this twice more. On the last out breath, imagine that the green star pops, turning into a spinning green and violet starburst of light as the violet silver pillar disappears. Spin the green violet starburst faster until it becomes a ball of green violet light about the size of a grapefruit, spinning in the center of your heart chakra. This green violet ball is the storehouse for your phase 1 diuretic current. It's called the diuretic sphere. Now on the next in-breath, when I've finished, I want you to inhale, drawing pale silver energy up from your Maharic shield, through the central body current, and into the center of the diuretic sphere at the heart chakra, encasing the sphere in translucent pale silver light. So inhale and draw pale silver energy from your Maharic shield, up through the central body current, and into the center of the diuretic sphere at the heart chakra. And just breathe easy for a second. Normally the exhale would follow the inhale, but I can't instruct you and have you do them both at the same time. So on the next out breath, you're going to push 2 cords of green, violet, silver energy, the diuretic cords, from the diuretic sphere down the inside of your arms, 1 cord through each arm. As the ends of the diuretic cords reach the insides of your hands, notice a sensation of mild resistance as the cords push against the etheric membranes, covering the small chakras in the palms. So breathe out, push 2 cords of green, violet, silver energy from the diuretic sphere down the inside of your arms, down through the arms, into the hands, and allow yourself to notice the mild sensation of resistance. On the next inhale, we'll draw silver energy up from the Maharic shield into the diuretic sphere at the 4th chakra. So inhale now, draw silver energy up from the Maharic shield into the sphere at the heart chakra. On the next out breath, it will be one that will be done forcefully, pushing more energy down through the diuretic cords in the arms. You will feel this energy pop out of the palms, releasing the membranes on the palm chakras. So exhale forcefully now, that's right. Push the energy down and feel it pop out of the palms. Continue to inhale energy, and do that as I speak, up from the Maharic shield into the diuretic sphere. That's right, and forcefully blow it out, down through the cords, building the strength of the diuretic current in both palms. Continue to do that for a few more moments. As you do it, imagine the diuretic current pooling in the palms to form 2 green-violet balls of light, about the size of tennis balls. Continue to build energy there, in the diuretic sphere and the cords, until you can sense the smaller diuretic balls forming in the palms of your hands. You are now primed for a healing facilitation. We now move on to technique 4, which is amplifying the inner audio-visual and Kathara scan. So begin by placing your right palm, your electrical transmitting hand, over the 5th Kathara center, which is at the navel. Right palm over the navel. And place your left magnetic receiving hand over the back of your right hand to block the third dimension energies that Ashana was talking about a little earlier. Now you're going to begin by inhaling energy from your Maharic shield, the Maharic carrier wave, up into your Doradic sphere at the heart chakra. And do that now. And immediately you can exhale and run that Maharic wave down the Doradic cords in the arms and into the balls in the palms of your hands. Now inhale and immediately exhale after, using the out breath to push energy from the Doradic sphere at the heart center down the Doradic cord in the right arm, through the right Doradic ball, and into the 5th Kathara center at the navel. Now repeat this several times until eventually you will feel, or you may feel, a mild tingling sensation in the 5th Kathara center at the navel. Okay, that's good. Now place your left palm over your throat chakra, with the right palm covering the back of your left hand. And inhale Doradic 1 current up from the 5th Kathara center at the navel into the seed center, the 5th chakra. And do that now. Draw Doradic current up from the 5th Kathara center at the navel into the seed center at the 5th chakra in the throat. And as you exhale, expand the Doradic frequency into the 5th chakra spiral, allowing the magnetic current from the left hand to draw the energy out through the spiral. So you can take it some in between breaths. And on the exhale, expand the Doradic 1 frequency into the 5th chakra spiral, allowing the magnetic current from the left hand to draw the energy out through the spiral. Now move your hands slowly as you exhale, move them forward, move them away from the body in the 5th chakra. Just feel the energetic relationship there. Now move your left palm to the 6th Kathara center, just below the right shoulder, with the left palm covering the back of the right hand. Repeat the process. So inhale and draw energy up from the Maharic shield into the Doradic sphere. And exhale that energy down the Doradic cords into the Doradic balls. Breathe in once more, and on the out breath, breathe the energy down the right Doradic cord, through the right palm, and into the 6th Kathara center. And repeat this several times as you work to energize the 6th Kathara center. We're going to repeat this process over the sixth chakra at the third eye. So move your left palm into the correct position over your third eye. Cover it with your right palm as before. On the next inhale, draw the diuretic current up from the sixth Kathara center into the seed center of the sixth chakra, and exhale that energy into the sixth chakra spiral while drawing it through with a magnetic current from the left hand. So inhale the diuretic one current from the sixth Kathara center into the third eye, the sixth chakra, and exhale that energy into the spiral. Now repeat this 3 or 4 times. Whilst you're doing this, the sixth sense, the audioria, which provides inner audio perception, and the seventh sense, the tristet, which provides inner visual perception, are now becoming more energized and amplified in preparation for the Kathara scan. At this point, you're going to need to work with the person closest to you. Just remove your hands for a moment, and wherever possible, turn to the person, I guess working from this side of the room, turn to the person on your right, all the way across, and pair up as best you can. Now, if it doesn't work, you might have to work with someone with a row directly behind you so you can turn in your chair. You can, yeah, okay. Sorry. Major operation. You all right, Puppet? Are you all right? Are you okay? Good. We shall give them each a turn on this, eh? We'll let one play client and reverse it, right? Okay. Okay. Well done. That was done very nicely without fuss. Now we're going to do this section will be done twice over. So you're going to play client and facilitator. So just one of you choose to be facilitator first, let the other be client, and then when we've done that once, we'll reverse the roles so everyone will have a go at doing this, okay? So just make the agreement between you. One be client, one be facilitator, and we'll start, all right?
This is how you learn to scan a Kathara grid as
Yep.
a client. Find out what needs more energy.
Yeah. So I'm really addressing the person who is chosen to be facilitator, obviously, at this point, okay? And what you're going to do now is you're learning to actually scan the Kathara grid inside the person who's playing client for you at the moment, okay? So, the facilitator, close your eyes and focus your attention at a single point, a position inside your forehead. Inhale, and as you exhale, move your attention outward through your sixth chakra spiral into the sixth chakra spiral of your client. Move your attention or your conscious focus into the center of your client's brain at the pineal gland.
Nobody can read your thoughts, so don't worry.
Inhale, and on the out breath, move your awareness down from the client's pineal, through the client's central body current, and down into the Earth's core. So breathe in, and on the exhale, move your conscious awareness down from their pineal, through their central body current, and down into the Earth's core. On the next inhale, bring your awareness back up from the Earth's core, up to your client's Maharic shield, and spread your awareness outward through their Maharic shield on the out-breath. So I'll repeat that. Inhale and move your awareness back up towards your client's Maharic shield. As you meet it, spread your awareness outward through their shield on the exhale. Now on the inside of your own forehead, imagine the image of the Kathara 12-tree grid. On the next in-breath, you will draw energy from the client's Maharic shield. And on the out-breath, excuse me, and on the out-breath, you will breathe the energy into the 12-tree image. So on the inhale, draw energy from the client's Maharic shield, and on your out-breath, push the energy into the 12-tree grid. And then just breathe gently for a moment, observing the 12-tree grid. And here it should register tones of white, black, and ranges of grey in between. If you can't visualize or see the 12-tree grid, you will still get a sense of the 12-tree image and the areas of dark and light within it. The dark areas represent layers of the miasmic body, which are the areas of karmic imprint that need clearing when you run Technique 4, the Maharic infusion. So you need to be making the best note you can of the areas in the client's Kathara grid that need clearing, which really means remembering where you have particularly very dark or very black areas. For the time being, you wouldn't need to worry too much about the lesser tones of grey. Just try and recall one or two points, if you find them, that look very black. Inhale and open your eyes on the following exhale. Sure.
Okay, I just want you to know, when you're doing a Kathara scan, this is a safe tactic to use as long as you are using Maharic frequency. When you use D12 frequency and you have your Maharic shield activated, which you do because you activated Duratic phase 1 current, which means you use the Hierophant to activate your Maharata current, you are perfectly safe in doing this. Your client's avatar will not let anything show to you that it doesn't want shown to you. The client's privacy is respected in these type of readings because you're going through the divine blueprint. So the facilitator will only be shown that which is directly something that they can assist in healing. You are also not leaving any energy imprint from you or your consciousness in the body of the client, and you're not taking on the client's imprint. If you were to try to do this type of scan without running the D12 frequency, first of all, you wouldn't get a Kathara scan at the end of it because you can't access the Kathara template without using the Divine Blueprint frequency. But if you tried, and you try to project a part of your awareness from your 6th chakra into somebody else's, you would give them your karmic imprint and you would take on theirs. So it would not be safe. The only way these things are safe, and the only way they're supposed to be used, are with the D12 Maharic current. So just so you know. Like, you don't have to worry if you're playing client that anybody's, reading your thought body and knowing more about you than you know. What if they have high sight? What can they see in there? There's nothing they're going to see that your avatar and the rest of you have not agreed to allow them to see. When we're doing these type of things, eventually, if you practice this a lot, you'll get huge amounts of data that come through as a healing facilitator to show you what to work on. And one of the things I wanted to point out, when you get this image, this read of a Kathara grid image that represents your client's area, you'll see dark areas, you'll see medium tone like gray areas, and you'll see light areas. The dark areas are the ones that have the most miasmic compromise, where the mathematical programs are not running right. They're the areas you would want to concentrate on in the body when you're running the Maharic infusion. into them. When you're running energy into the Kathara grid, you'd want to push a little extra into those areas. You can also work with them by observing the number of the Kathara center or centers that has the dark frequency, and using that number to identify the chakra that you can later work with, and you can direct transmit into the chakra as well. So that part's not in the book, but you can do that. You can this will tell you what chakras to work with. It will tell you what DNA strands to work with. So the Kathara scan will tell you which level the distortions are most severe on at the moment that you've scanned the person. That may change. You can do somebody like 45 minutes later and you might find a different scan. And the more you do these scans, the more you will get a clear imprint, and the more you will begin to get a visual and get a feel. If you don't get visuals yet, you may just start to get a feel. You can feel like the left hand or the right hand column. Which column, is it? Is it the center column? And you'll get a feel for where to direct the energy. Once you get really good at them, you get huge amounts of information, but only what their avatar wants you to have, so you can best facilitate in the healing process. Just wanted you to know that. Okay? And on to technique 5.
No.
No? We're not doing that yet.
No.
What am I doing?
So now the clients get to become facilitators.
That's right. We got to do one more. We got to switch up.
All right. And we'll go right on if... Okay. So facilitators number 2. You ready to go? Just close your eyes and focus your attention at a single point on the inside of your own forehead. Inhale. And as you exhale, run your attention outward through your 6th chakra spiral into the 6th chakra spiral of your client. Move your attention into the center of your client's brain at the pineal gland. Just hold it there a moment. Inhale and then exhale, moving your awareness down from the client's pineal, through your client's central body current and down into the earth's core. Breathe easy, and on the next inhale, you will move your awareness back upward to your client's Maharic shield and spread your awareness outward throughout their Maharic shield at the same time as you're breathing out. So inhale, move your awareness back up towards your client's Maharic shield. Spread your awareness outward through their shield as you breathe out. Now on the inside of your own forehead, imagine the image of the Kathara 12-tree grid. Inhale, drawing energy from the client's Maharic shield. And on the out-breath, project the energy into the 12-tree image. Just breathe gently for a moment, observing the 12-tree grid. Noticing, feeling or sensing in the areas which register tones of white, black and ranges of grey in between. As I said earlier, for the purposes of this exercise, try and register the darkest coloured imprints and restrict yourself for now to 1 or 2 points if you find them. Just draw a breath, and on the next out breath, open your eyes. We'll move on now to technique 5. And again, we will use the client facilitator routine. Because there are so many of you and the room is small relative to the number, you're going to have to act as facilitator in a sort of a kneeling position in front of your client. Normally you'd be laid out flat and you'd be able to work more easily at the soles of the feet and then move to the crown. But in this situation, you'll have to kneel in order to get your hands into the position under the soles of their feet.
Can't they just lift their feet up onto your knees?
Well, they could do, but you might not find it comfortable because the hand positions are kind of awkward. You can try.
That might not be too comfortable to sit there for
You can try.
feet up on somebody's knees either. Your legs will go numb, I think. Usually we lay down for this. We do recommend laying your clients down.
No, I told them that, love.
Are they going to try? They're going to try.
Huh?
They're going to look like people are trying to live. Yeah. No, you were.
Whilst you're arranging your bodies, as I said, it's unfortunate that the room size is too small to allow you to lie on the floor or lie horizontally, which is the position that we would normally be using. Now, the only difficulty, yes?
Suggestion is if we stack the chairs, then we have enough room for everyone to lay.
It'll take us another half an hour to get everything set.
It'll take us too much time to.
We thought of that.
Yeah.
There's just not enough.
We went there and bagged the idea because it would take too much time to do. I mean, everyone's got their stuff on the floor as well, and that would have to be moved out of the way as well.
The backing codes
So,
are more important than this.
just for this run through, just do your best. And the only issue that you'll face is to facilitate healing with anybody, you must be comfortable. You must be in a good, strong, balanced, clear space to do it. And if you're uncomfortable, which some of you are bound to be, as you work to get your hands in the position where you have your left hand over the back of your right, that tends to push your body into kind of an awkward position because you're trying to get this and you're trying to get it under their feet too. In this sort of situation, it's going to be awfully hard for you to feel totally good about your posture and your approach to the client. So we're just going to have to live with the fact that the room and the number of you is making this less perfect than we'd like it to be. So let's just work within the limits of that and move on from there. Now, under full facilitation circumstances, you will have completed the mentor technique. You will have activated your Maharic shield and your Maharic seal, and you will have run the liquid light technique. You will also have activated your Duradic current and inner audio-visual scan, and you will have performed the client Kathara scan. You will have done all of those things in preparation. As you're approaching your client in a real-time situation, you would then open theirs and your own Kathara lines. Yours first, theirs second. Okay? And from that point, we begin. So, yes?
Okay, just because it can be a little bit confusing. If you'll notice here, when you first start, when you first start telling what you do, you have the right hand, the left hand over the back of the right hand. Once you have the Maharic frequency activated and running, then it doesn't matter if you switch. Okay, then it doesn't matter if you don't need to worry about compromising currents at that point. You've got the frequency you wanted in the body. Now you're just going to use three-dimensional currents to push it. So the hand position changes when you go to the feet. When you're activating the shield below their feet, you have to make your currents clear. All right, so you put the hand over the back, the left hand over the back of the right for transmitting. When you go into just pushing the energy through, you will you'll have on the left foot, or the right palm on the sole of the left foot, and you'll have the left palm on the top of the left foot.
Making a sandwich.
Okay, so you're literally covering the top chakra on their foot and the bottom chakra on the same foot. And you'll have your palm on the sole.
On the sole.
Foot, the left, wait a minute, your right palm on the left foot. All right, and then just the other hand over the other chakra on top. That's the easiest way to remember it. So there's a little switch there. I just wanted to point that out to you before you get into it. These will be like, wait a minute, what? Yeah, look up here. Like, wait a minute.
With the hands all over the place. That's right.
You know? So it's really not hard to hold the foot. I'll show you. Hold on a second. It's just basically you're lining up the chakras on both of your hands.
Pretend that's my foot.
No, I want to use a foot. With the chakras, it runs right here. There's a chakra in the ball of the foot that runs through the top of the foot. Okay? You're going to line up your little vortices with that little vortice, but you're going to have the left hand? No, the left foot and right palm. So right palm to left foot, and then you're going to reverse it for the other foot. Okay? You're going to transmit in to the foot, but you're going to line up the little vortices. Thank you. Ow.
Some things are done better off camera. But then again, we're mostly human.
With or without socks on?
Pardon me?
With or without socks on?
The socks would be fine. Okay, so facilitator is positioned at the feet of your normally reclining client. Place your right palm.
Actually, all right, here's the key. Start with left foot, then do right foot with the same hand position. So right palm on bottom. That's right. I think that's what we're doing. Yes? Yeah.
We're not.
I haven't done this in so long.
We're not putting right palms on bottoms, darling. We're putting right palms on feet.
Okay, yeah, because so start with left foot, then do right foot with same hand positions. So that means right palm on bottom of foot.
Okay.
Other one pulling.
We got it then. We all clear? Right palm on bottom of left foot.
Okay.
Yes?
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, we didn't get there yet. But when we get there,
Well, will you tell me when you got there?
you have to start the exercise.
Yeah, but you have to.
I am.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Position yourself at the feet of a normally reclining patient.
Okay.
Place the right palm 12 inches below the client's feet, which is where you will find their Maharic shield. Ensure your left palm is covering the back of your right hand,
For that one.
like so. Like that. Usually making something of a cross, kind of, most comfortable. Okay? Visualize the Hierophant symbol on the inside of your own forehead. Inhale, and on the out-breath, move the Hierophant down to your heart chakra and into the Duretic sphere on the out-breath. So inhale, and breathe the Hierophant down into the heart center and into the Duretic sphere on that breath. Inhale energy up from your own Maharic shield and into the Duretic sphere.
Sorry, could you repeat it? Sorry,
Which bit did you miss?
from where the Hierophant came.
Okay, I'll begin again. Right, this step. Visualize the Hierophant on the inside of your own forehead. Inhale, and on the out-breath, move the Hierophant down to your heart center and into the Duretic sphere on the out-breath. Then inhale and draw energy up from your own Maharic shield and into the Duretic sphere. On the out-breath, exhale the Hierophant with the Duretic 1 current down the right Duretic cord into the Duretic ball in the right palm. So you're energizing the ball in your palm. Inhale, and on the out-breath, breathe out the Hierophant and the Duretic 1 current into the center of the client's Maharic shield. Visualize the Hierophant spinning in the center of the client's Maharic shield until you sense a mild shift in the energy below the client's feet. This shift indicates that the client's Maharic shield is activated and the Maharic pillar has popped vertically upward from the shield. The client's bioenergetic field will now carry the Maharic seal. Now inhale energy from your own Maharic shield into your Duretic sphere, and then breathe the energy out down both Duretic cords into the Duretic balls in the palms. Now visualize the 12-tree Kathara grid within your client's body. Inhale, and with a moderately vigorous out-breath, transmit energy, performing the Maharic infusion through the small chakra points in your client's feet.
And this is where you switch the hand positions, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right on bottom, right palm on bottom of foot, left on top.
Yes. So place your right palm on the bottom of your client's left foot and place your left palm on top of the foot, centered exactly opposite your own right palm. Inhale, and on the next out breath, exhale energy from your Duretic sphere through the right Duretic cord into your right palm and into the sole of the client's foot. Visualize the green, violet, silver energy traveling up the Kathara line on the left side of the body. Continue to draw energy on the in-breath and exhale the energy into the left foot on the out-breath. And don't be self-conscious either about the idea or the sound of you expelling breath, because this is a way you will actually draw and issue charge. Continue to do that briefly until you begin to feel a sort of a fuzzy energy coming out of the client's foot into your palm. And this stage indicates that the Kathara line has reached its energy holding capacity. That's to say, your client's Kathara line has reached its energy holding capacity. Continue to work a little until you feel that fuzziness coming into your palm. Palm directly opposite your right, sandwiching their foot. So inhale, and on the out breath, expel energy from your diuretic sphere through the right diuretic cord, down into your right palm, and into the sole of the client's foot. Visualize the green, violet, silver energy traveling up the Kathara line on the left side of your body. Continue to draw energy up and push the energy into your client's right foot until you begin to feel that fuzzy energy coming back out towards your palm. Now you can, all of you, if you're ready now, just to bring this element to a close and give you a few seconds to tidy that up. And at this point you will now work to clear and align the central vertical Kathara line to complete the Maharic infusion. Now this needs to be done working at your client's head. So I suggest your client sit in a chair and you stand either in front or behind them, whichever is most convenient at this point.
Behind is probably easier. For the angle behind it, I just got
Yeah. Okay, well done. Now place your right palm over the position of your client's 10th chakra, which is approximately 6 inches above their skull, the top of their head. This is the location of the 12th Kathara center. Place your left palm over the back of your own right hand. Inhale deeply, drawing energy up from your Maharic shield. Draw into your diuretic sphere at the heart center, and then, as you've been doing, energetically push that energy down the right diuretic cord into the right palm and through the 10th chakra. Visualize the energy moving down from the 10th chakra into the 7th chakra and into the pineal gland. Then rapidly down the central body current and the central Kathara line, through Kathara centers 8, 5, 2, that's through the thyroid, navel and the base, and into the Kathara center 1 at Earth's core. Now I'll talk you through that one again. because once I set you off, I want you to continue to draw energy and then transmit energy on the in-breath and the out-breath. So we'll run through it again quite quickly. All right. Draw energy from your Maharic shield. Breathe it out from the diuretic sphere, down your right arm, into the right palm, through the 10th chakra, and visualize the energy moving down from there into the 7th chakra, down to the central body current, down to the thyroid, down to the navel, down to the base, and into the earth's core. Continue to draw energy and breathe it out into the 10th chakra, and push it through that, down the central Kathara line, until you feel that fuzzy feeling once more appearing in your right palm. So continue to pull and push energy in this way until you feel the fuzziness. And to remind you, that indicates that the client's Kathara grid has for the moment reached its energy holding capacity. And by moment I mean during this facilitating session. On future occasions, if you have them, you may find that will change. You're almost certainly going to do that. And as you grow accustomed to pulling and pushing energy in this way, you'll find that you can actually apply your consciousness in quite a number of different ways. So continue to draw and push the energy. But bring back to mind now the findings that occurred when you performed the Kathara scan. In other words, bring to mind the client's Kathara grid while you're drawing energy and pushing it through the 10th chakra. And prepare for the next step by recalling the dark spots that you may have noticed in the Kathara grid. Continue to draw and push energy through the 10th chakra all the way down the central vertical Kathara line into the earth's core, and begin to visualize the dark areas that you observed beginning to get light as the energy runs through them. Continue to draw the energy, to push it down to the 10th chakra, but allow your conscious awareness with the client to begin to move more specifically into the areas of darkness that you saw, until gradually you may find that all of your conscious attention is being drawn to one or two or a couple of related dark spots, where you're beginning to very specifically draw energy and direct the energy down through the 10th chakra to those specific parts of your client's Kathara grid and the Kathara centers there. And it's at this point which, if you were working with other kinds of healing modalities, that it would be the most appropriate point to introduce the modalities that you're working with if you want to continue to work with them. Under professional circumstances, you would close by using the sequence 2 Kathara points to close the Kathara lines and revitalize the client's body. And you would do this both for your client as well as yourself if you wished. So if you can gently now bring this transmission to a close, take a few seconds to do that, and then we'll reverse the roles as we did before. Absolutely, no problem. No problem. Yeah. So if you can, sorry? No, you would in a professional situation, but today we don't need to do that.
We'll put all the techniques together.
Yeah.
We're going to do that after you learn to run this. Now you're just going to switch off so the other person can do. And then we'll go through the 6-stage process of how you do it.
Okay, so if you can make another nice job of moving around quickly and quietly. Okay, good people. Hello. You all seem very animated. Did you have an interesting time doing that? Did the people who were facilitating feel the fuzziness coming back into their palms all right? Yeah? How did the people who were playing as clients feel? Good feelings, good reactions around the place? Okay, good. All right, facilitators, number 2. All right. Position yourself in the most comfortable one you can find in order that your right palm can be placed 12 inches below your client's feet in the approximate position of their Maharic shield, with your left palm over the back of your right hand. And usually people working with Kathara find that the sort of slightly hands crossed position is more comfortable. Sort of like that. You know, and do what you feel best about, but people generally find that slightly crossed position is best. Now, facilitators, visualize the Hierophant symbol on the inside of your own forehead. Inhale, and on the out-breath, move the Hierophant down to your heart center and into the Doradic sphere. So breathe in and breathe out, and on the out-breath, move the Hierophant into your heart center and into the Doradic sphere there. Then draw energy on the inhale up from your own Maharic shield and into the Doradic sphere at your heart center. On the next out-breath, push the Hierophant with the Doradic 1 current down the right Doradic cord and into the Doradic ball in your right palm. Okay. I'm just going to repeat step 2, as I did before. So, visualize the Hierophant symbol on the inside of your own forehead. Inhale, and on the out-breath, move the Hierophant down to the heart center and into the Doradic sphere there on the exhale breath. Now on the next inhale, draw energy up from your own Maharic shield into the Doradic sphere. And then on the out-breath, push the Hierophant with the Doradic 1 current down the right Doradic cord into the Doradic ball in your right palm. Inhale, and quite forcefully, exhale the Hierophant and the Doradic 1 current into the center of your client's Maharic shield. Visualize the Hierophant spinning in the center of your client's Maharic shield until you sense a mild shift in the energy below the client's feet. If you need to draw another breath and exhale again, do that. That mild shift indicates that your client's Maharic pillar has popped vertically upward from the shield, activating the client's bioenergetic field. Now, draw energy on the inhale from your own Maharic shield into your Doradic sphere on the next in-breath. And on the out-breath, push the energy down both Doradic cords into the balls in the palms of your hand. Visualize the 12-tree Kathara grid within the client's body. You prepare now to run the Maharic infusion through the small chakra points in the feet. So draw energy from your shield into your Doradic sphere. Push energy down your arms into the palms, into the client's 12-tree Kathara grid, through the small chakra points in their feet. Now I'm going to move your hands to a new position. So take your right palm onto the bottom of your client's left foot and place your left palm on the top of their foot, facing back towards your own right palm, making a sandwich. Inhale, and then exhale energy from your doradic sphere down through the right doradic cord into your right palm and into the sole of the client's foot. Repeat that inhale and breathe out, visualizing the green, violet, silver energy traveling up the Kathara line on the left side of the body. Continue to draw energy and push energy into their left foot until you begin to feel that fuzzy, energetic feeling coming out of their foot towards your own palm. Okay, that should be good. Now move your right palm onto the bottom of your client's right foot and place your left palm on top of their right foot facing your right palm, making the sandwich again, and repeat the process. So inhale, drawing the energy, and push the energy from your doradic sphere through the right doradic cord, down through your right palm into the sole of the client's foot. Pull the energy up, push the energy out, visualizing the green, violet, silver energy traveling up the Kathara line on the left side of the body. That's good. Just continue to work it like that until you begin to feel that fuzziness building up, coming back into your palm. Okay, we now move into the position around your client's head as we prepare to clear and align the central vertical Kathara line to complete the Maharic infusion. Is everybody ready? All right. Position your right palm over the client's 10th chakra, 6 inches above their head. The location of the 12th Kathara center. Cover your right hand with your left palm. Pull energy from your Maharic shield into your doradic sphere, and then exhale energy down the right doradic cord into the right palm and through the 10th chakra. So begin the pull and push process once more. And as you push the energy out down to the 10th chakra, visualize it moving down from the 10th into the 7th of the pineal gland, and then rapidly down the central body current through the thyroid, through the navel, through the base, and into Kathara center 1 at Earth's core. And just continue for a moment, pulling energy and expressing it quite vigorously. And try and balance the vigor with which you draw the energy and allow it naturally to balance with the vigor you use to send the energy. As you continue, you'll begin to feel that fuzziness building up. Feeling it pushing just gently against your right palm as the client's Kathara grid shows you that it's approaching its current energy holding capacity. Maybe as you become more accustomed to working with energy in this way, it's not uncommon to find some people who are familiar with it are quite, I can't think of a word for it, but you know, when we draw and we pull, Shanna and I, you can hear us both go, really pulling, you know. You can hear the sound of a real deep pulling of energy up, and as you let it go, you think, you know. Don't be self-conscious. Just work with energy. If you really move to pull it, and you really want to pull a big slug, really let yourself. And if you make a noise doing it, make a noise doing it. And when you're pushing it, do it with the same open, joyful vigor. Let yourself be part of the energy. That's it.
If we're doing it sitting up, since you do tend, if you do end up doing a one like this where you're working on somebody who's sitting up, I do suggest standing behind them. Some people are standing in front, some are behind, just so you don't blow on them and you're not blowing right in their faces. Because that can be distracting on the other side.
A bit antisocial too, eh? Yes.
Yeah, and it's always good protocol to bring your breath mints or your mouthwash or something.
Yeah, a bit of respect.
Yeah.
Okay. I think you've with some of that energetic stuff going there, they're all overflowing now. All right. So as we did before, now just continue to draw and transmit energy, and you can move into sort of a gentler space if you like, but allow your consciousness to become aware of the Kathara grid that you visualized earlier, and in particular the dark colored Kathara centers in your client's Kathara grid. Okay? Continue to pull energy and continue to push it and continue to visualize the energy flowing up your side. Allow your focus to be drawn towards their Kathara grid and the dark or very dark spots that you noticed before. You will find the intensity you need to work with this part of your client's Kathara grid, and you may resume a very active and highly energetic interlude whilst your focus is going specifically now towards these Kathara centers where the molecular compaction or the build-up in the miasmic imprint in this highly concentrated area. You begin to work with clearing that area with your client.
Do this next. Just tell them how to put them all together.
Right.
What time are we getting on to?
We're off techniques now. It's 3:15, so we've got 2.25 hours before the so-called break this evening.
Wow. Seems like a long time.
What?
Well, I'll do the talk on the physical stuff then.
Right?
Yeah, I'm going to need a 5-minute break.
Pardon me?
I'm going to need a 5-minute break to eat a cookie.
Right after this?
Levels are going down.
Yeah, okay. Please continue for a few minutes longer if you're moved to do. When you're finished and you feel finished, just rearrange your immediate seating area and just sit for a moment. Shannon and I are going to take a quick refresher break because we're feeling a little bit tired right now. So just continue for as long as feels good, and when you finish, just rearrange your seating again and just sit down quietly. We won't be very long.
Hello. Hey, back again. That was an unforeseen break. Yeah. I was getting a little bit tired there. If you're wondering why I took a break, I was getting a little bit tired because I haven't, slept hardly at all last night, and my blood sugar level drops, and I get dizzy and kind of spacey, and it's hard to talk with and make sense at the same time. So I just need to get a little bit of. I ate a cookie and had some coffee. So those two things. My system is so used to toxic garbage that heaven forbid I should have an orange juice or something. I'd probably keel over. Good thing it transmutes well, at least when it's not tired. Okay. All right. How many people felt energy running, either on either side of it during the thing? Oh, that's good. That's excellent. I've had workshops where you have 3 people raising their hand. Okay, keep working with it. You know, that's good. That's excellent. All right. Did you enjoy that process? Okay, good. Good. Because there's a huge potential for like conducting client sessions with this. That's why this is also, it's also a professional certification course. On the backs of your binders of your course book, you have a certificate that certifies, you're technically, by taking this course, you're certified as a certificate, I can't talk, a certificate of recognition as a Kathara healing facilitator. Now, for people who would like to take that further into being, you know, an endorsed by Azurite Temple facilitator, which means that we have to be careful, because anybody can take these courses and go out and do anything, and God knows what they're going to do. But we have to have some kind of saying, well, yes, there's a testing process to make sure at least that people know something before we can endorse them and just set them loose on the world. Now, you are set loose on the world. You can teach what you've learned in this manual anytime you want, and you can conduct healing sessions anytime you would like at this point. But if you would like the extra bonus of 2 things, being able to take the Kathara certification test just to see what, you know, to see if you learned what, you know, basically you needed to pick up, if you really got it. And if not, you'd be able to look it up in your book to find out, you know, what you missed or whatever. And the second advantage is that if you are serious about wanting to take this into client healing sessions, where you want to do a lot of them and you would like to, you know, use that as part of your professional thing that you're doing, if you take the test and the test is passed, you get certification through Azurite Temple, which means you would be on a list, the Kathara Healing Alliance or the Kathara Alliance, which means you would be able to have clients call in and get reference, where you would be listed as, yes, you know, we know you are, you know, a certified teacher, yes, you're qualified to do this. So it's just, you know, an extra thing if you want to do it. We don't have the certification test done yet. It's about a month away. In the meantime, you're free to do, you know, free to use the sessions and even to teach them if you would like. Now, the sessions themselves, how you just learned 5 techniques of running energy.
Sorry.
Yes.
Just add that when they go through the test, we send out a silver foil. We send the certificate back.
Right.
We put a silver foil on the certificate, and we actually put the temple seal on it.
Okay, I'll let you explain that. Yeah, new procedures on how we do those certifications for people who want to take the test and pass them. You end up with what you end up with, and I'll let Az describe to you how you end up with that, is a silver foil sticker that goes on your certificate and a stamp with the official Azurite Temple, you know, incorporated insignia. So it's like, you know, officially recognized document. It's an officially recognized document right now. It just doesn't have you as part of Kathara Alliance, where we could, in good faith, say, yes, we know this person and we know they took the test, so we know that, you know, they're not going to hurt you, you know, that kind of thing. Because sometimes clients will call in. Okay, now, what would a client session be like? You've learned 5 techniques. Some of them are to get your energy flowing and to get your energy clear, because if that isn't happening, you're not going to do anybody any good. The last one is the one where you begin to work on a client. And this is the one you can also do the same thing on a mirror. It doesn't have feet and a head, but you can put, you know, you can literally transmit into mirrors or food or anything else. But when we're dealing with clients, that means somebody's going to come, you know, you're going to say, hey, I do this, and somebody's going to say, okay, I'd like an appointment. And they're going to come to your house. What do you do with them? Where do you start? Okay. There's an easy way to put together the techniques that you've learned so far into this format. Okay? This is called the Maharic Infusion Client Facilitation. The service you're giving them is a Maharic infusion. All right? You are infusing D12 Maharic frequency. You could also call it a Divine Blueprint infusion, because what it is D12 frequency, the Divine Blueprint frequency. All right? Now, you would start with, let's see, where am I? I'm going to have to catch up. Yeah, I'm on the wrong page in my book. 203. I'm going to try to read off here right now because my eyes are getting a little fuzzy and I don't have my glasses with me. All right. All right, there's a 6-step sequence that you would use. There are certain things you do before the client comes, so you're ready for when the client comes. Before we even look at what you do for when the client comes, you think about trying to create a nice atmosphere for the client. If you want to put some music on, you preferably put music that has no lyrics to it. Just very relaxing, kind of instrumental type music. It sets a nice atmosphere. You might want to, I would say, use some incense, but the smell of the burning often bothers people, particularly if you're doing deep energy work. So if you're going to do it quite a bit before the client comes, then let your place air out where it just has a little bit of the smell left. I would suggest more like potpourri or even the air sprays, not the aerosol so much, but like the essence sprays that have a liquid base. Aromatherapy is very, very useful in any of these healing facilitation practices. It's interesting because when you get into the structure of the inner template, what smell really is a form of sound. So we're actually hearing with our noses, and we call it smell. When you use different types of essence oils or different aromas, they will either assist or not assist the processes you're working with. Now, people are very individually sensitive to different sound frequencies through smell. So you may want to, if you're someone who has studied aromatherapy, you'll know a lot about how to find something that works for clients. If you haven't studied that much, I would suggest it's something worth looking into, because you can get a lot. It'll give you more frequency kick because the person's fields relax a lot more when you use the sound frequencies through smell that resonate well with their body systems. Now, if you don't want to study aromatherapy, that's fine. You can still use a little bit of it. There's a couple basic scents that actually would assist anybody, even if they don't particularly like the scent itself. You're not going to put the scent on them. It would simply be having the scent in the room, like put it on a cloth or something and have it, by where maybe a fan is blowing some air in, or where there's a radiator where it would radiate some of the smell. Sandalwood is one of the best aromatherapy sound remedies to use when you're working with core template. So the aroma of sandalwood has a frequency, has a vibrational rhythm to it that its flash line sequences are very compatible with the deep template. So when you're doing any kind of divine blueprint healing, sandalwood is very good. There's a bunch of other really good ones, but that's the one that stands out among the others as far as having the most compatible flash line sequence or most compatible morphogenetic essence to go with the processes of Mahara recoding. So you might want to put the essence of sandalwood a little bit around, not heavy, just enough where there's a little bit of it in the air. If you happen to have a client that likes aromatherapy, somebody that would like to have oils put on them, you could actually use the oils on your fingers if you were going to use the Kathara opening sequence points, the Kathara points. So you could actually use oils to rub those in if they want it. But let that be up to them. Because some people, that's too overpowering. It's too loud. And literally, loud in sound. Their ears don't hear it, but their inner body does. And some people really have a reaction to having oils put on their body, essence oils, where they kind of go, some will even break out in rashes, from it. So you have to be sensitive to your client. One of the most important things, if you're going to do client sessions, is to heal thyself first. If you're having a bad day and you feel lousy, if you're feeling sick, run your Mahara seal and things and try to make yourself feel better. But if you don't be afraid to cancel. It doesn't matter the fact that might be the only income you have planned for the next 3 weeks. Trust the universe and your Christos self to guide you to another way to fill that. And gently explain to the client that you want to give them quality service. And if you really are not up to running the frequency, this is something you can't fake. We can go in and drag ourselves through just about any other 3D job that's out there. You can take Advil to suppress your headache. You can take the things to make you stop sneezing when you have a cold, all that kind of stuff. You can stuff it all down in your body and still force yourself to work. When it comes to healing and running frequency, you can't fake it. You are either going to be able to run that frequency or you're not. And if you're not feeling well, your body's telling you something. It's trying to clear something of its own. That's not a good time to try to assist somebody else. But it is a good time to run the processes on yourself. So you need to take care of yourself. So many of us let ourselves get run down because life is demanding. It's like you get pulled in a million different directions and you're giving energy out all over the place. And a lot of times, particularly people who are interested in healing at all, tend to give too much and don't give anything to themselves. One of the things, if you want to be a good facilitator, is you need to learn to give to yourself. Pretend you were the client. Pretend you were a client that came to you and they said, I'm so exhausted. I'm just so tired. I feel really run down. I keep forcing myself to do stuff. Start to listen to yourself. There's a part of you that if you're tired, you're not listening to something. And you need to listen to that part. Because if you work with giving that part of you what it needs, if it needs rest, if it needs just a change of scenery for a little while, if it needs to do some other types of activities that make it feel better, be kind to yourself, and your body and your frequency holding ability will hold out for you, and then you'll be able to help a lot more people than if you let yourself get drained and run over, where you're trying to throw frequency. Do you ever notice that when you're really sick, it's hard to even get from the bed to the couch to find the remote to try to turn the TV on? It's like something that would take no energy at all. On one day when you're feeling good. If you have the flu or something, and you try to do that same thing, it's as if you ran 20 miles just getting from the bed to the couch. Your body is not going to be able to hold frequency or transmit it as well if you're not feeling well and if you're run down. So if you take care of you, your body will take care of you too. You have to take care of it, it'll take care of you. Now, let's say you're raring to go, you feel great, yeah, I'm ready to facilitate healing. When a client comes, there's a very simple sequence of things to do. Before the client comes is when you begin your preparation. So they don't have to sit there and watch you huff and puff and get your own systems going. By the time they come, you should be amped, running on current already. So the things you do before a client arrives, you do technique 1. You'd activate your mentor. Now the mentor is meant to help you. When you have that part of your consciousness stuck over here, it's like having another set of eyes. That part of your consciousness is keyed to a different frequency, so it will be able to pick up more than what you're going to be able to pick up here, and you may start to get direct verbal guidance from that part of yourself, like you become an apprentice of yourself, where that part kind of hangs out as if it's your mentor, and it says, okay, now go here. This needs a little chakra work as well as just one of these. Here's how you do it. You'll find that part of yourself training you, because it's watching from a higher dimensional field, and it's there to help you. You've put it there to help you. You've actually sent a part of your consciousness on a mission. You've said, okay, we're going to co-create something together. You sit here, I'll sit here, and we'll work together, okay? So when you're doing the mentor exercise, this is what you're doing. You're putting a part of your consciousness out of the mainstream of what you're doing so you can watch it like from an eagle-eye view. So if there's something you need to be aware of, including if something happens to be attached to that person's field that's trying like heck to burrow into yours, you'll become aware of it. If you're doing a healing facilitation, sometimes you walk in the door and you just feel that one person came in and there must be 20 there. You just feel it. There's like a really scrambly feeling. You can also start to sense Merkaba vehicles in people. People who have real disruptions in the DNA template that come from being messed with in the astral levels will have Merkaba fields that wobble all over the place. Where you may, if you're standing like maybe from here to here, you'll actually be able to feel this really strange, almost vertigo. If you tune in, you can feel it in the lower chakras here, because literally their Merkaba axis, which should be like this, is going womp, 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 womp. And imagine, if you can feel their vertigo, imagine how bad it must feel to be in their bodies. All right? When you find yourself encountering a client like that, the one thing you need to do is fortify your fields more, which means breathe up more of the D12 frequency and really breathe it up into your Kathara grid and push it out into your astral field. Fill your heart chakra with it. Make it all turn silver. And if it feels like a really bad case, literally put it through all of your chakras at once. See them all turn into pale silver light as you're breathing energy through them. What you'll do is you'll fortify. You'll make more D12 subharmonics in your own field, which whatever it is they're carrying is going to have an even harder time trying to get to you. So that's one of the things that's not listed here. But you do your mentor, but also be aware of what's coming in with the person who's coming in. They may be the nicest person in the world, and it may be somebody you've known for years and totally trust. That doesn't mean they haven't picked up something in the astral level. Right now, in the planetary drama we're in the middle of, anybody that gets out of here without something attached to their field is going to be very fortunate, unless there's people who know how to monitor their fields and how to protect them with the D12 frequency. So don't be surprised. You get so sick of looking at it sometimes, like, oh, great, another one. You know what I mean? Yeah, really, oh, here we go. There's another reptile coming in. Hello, is that a nice reptile, or is it a reptile that wants to hurt me? You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, just because a reptile comes in with a person doesn't mean that's a bad thing. It might be a nice reptile that wants a redemption contract. There's a bunch of the negative fallen angelic ones coming over, some of them that aren't even in bodies yet. They're not incarnate here, and they're not possessing anybody, but they're taking rides on people's fields to try to get to a place where somebody who knows something can get them out of trouble, because they want to cross over and they want to go into the Christos bioregenesis programs, but they haven't figured out how to get there yet. So sometimes, because you are going to be a facilitator, you're not just a person who knows Reiki now. You're not just a person who knows how to play a little bit with energy. You're a person who has, at this point, the beginnings of a master level education. You know what an ascended master is now. You know what levels of frequency that corresponds to. You're very, very valuable to anything, be it human or otherwise, that's in the fallen angelic matrix and wants to come over. So you will find either people bringing them to you or them coming themselves as the people who are your clients, because you have the ability now to run the frequency that will allow them to plug into what's called a host matrix. You have the ability to help them make an agreement with one of the founders' collectives that will help them make the bridge around their fallen angelic collective. They will literally build their pillar back to their original imprint before that whole matrix fell. And they need a host matrix to do it. And these are all arranged at higher levels, the founders' levels in density 4 and higher. Arrange these. But you will find redemption contracts coming to your door all the time, people carrying them. The people will probably have very little idea that they're a part of it, but you'll start to get a feel like, oh, okay, I'm supposed to do something here, aren't I? And if it's one of those where it's like, but what am I supposed to do? You can't quite peg it. It feels like it's so far out there you can't quite peg it. They are the ones that are tending to come to you for redemption contract, because the contracts are so high you're not even going to have conscious access to it. What your job is give them a Maharic recoding session, give them a Maharic infusion, because you're beginning the process of helping them to have the D12 frequency bridge. So somebody up there, through their own avatar, can bridge them back in. And it's not up to you to make the plug-in. All right? If you ever get anybody that says, oh, I know about this stuff, and I was sent to you because you're supposed to be my host matrix. You're supposed to let me plug into your field. But if somebody says that to you, know that they have been getting some very interesting training from probably about a D9 to a D11 dark matrix, that they would even be able to say something like that to you. You know, the level of knowledge that they come in with. If they come in with a lot of knowledge, but they're still coming from a weird place, they've had high training in a negative vein, and they probably don't know it. So just be aware of those kind of things. And when it comes to the basic healing process, the session process, you activate your mentor, you conduct this exercise, Mahara Space Comfort Touch exercise, the Mahara Space. Now this one we didn't cover, and I never cover this live. It's in the books, and let me see what page this is on. It's back a little bit. And it's just an extra that you can do, you don't have to do. But it can help help clients to relax.
$1.99.
It's $1.99, thank you. Yeah. So it's an exercise that's in there that you can use if you want to. And if you don't, it starts at $1.98 actually, and it goes through to $1.99. Okay? So it's an extra exercise. If you want to use it, there's the place where you'd use it. Because it's meant to help the client relax. And for you and the client and both of your avatars to kind of harmonize with each other a bit. So, because if a client's relaxed and you're relaxed, you'll have a much better session. It'll work much better. You'll run higher, clearer frequency at a stronger rate. And the person will be more open to receiving that frequency. So you can put that exercise there if you want to. You don't have to. Okay? And then, we suggest doing this even if you haven't done this. Be aware that every person that comes in may come in with 10 dimensions worth of baggage, but they all also come in somewhere up there, out there, through there. They have an avatar too, the state in the Christos. They still have the ability to have that connection. So what you want to do is telepathically, okay, make a remote request for permission from the client's rishi. First of all, to do this if you're going to do it, and then to do anything. All right? What you're saying is, okay, I'm aware. I recognize, namaste, I recognize the God in you. And I'm going to talk to the God in you right now. And you're not going to say this to the client. You're going to telepathically say it to yourself and then aim your telepath communication up into the rishi level, which is the density 5 level. And you're going to say, okay, hello, I have one of me up there too. I would just like, I'm in service to you right now. And just let me know what you would like me to do or what you would like me not to do. Do I have permission to conduct this session? Is this the right thing to do? Just to make double sure. Usually if the person's at your doorstep saying they want a session, they've already got the guidance to get it. So you'll very rarely have any, no, don't, we don't want you here. If you get that, it might be something in the middle field saying, something that has possessed their field or something, saying, no, we want to, that person shouldn't be here, get them out of here. Because if you're going to run the D12 frequency on them, it's going to start purging anything that doesn't belong there. But it helps to practice for this. For if you're going to start doing remote requests and talking to people's rishis, you need to learn to talk to your own first, which you do through your own Christos template. This is very different from channeling. There's a very big difference between telepathy and channeling. Channeling is when you merge your energy field with something, or it merges with you, and it literally goes down into your DNA template. That's why channels can walk around spaced out. They don't know what happens when they come back, but somebody else took over their body, walked around, and God knows what else it might have done. Right? A lot of times people that channel don't even know if they've gone into deep trance what has transpired with that body. Now, telepathy is different. You don't need to channel your higher self. You don't need to channel your avatar self. You just need to open a conduit of telepathic rapport. The best way to do it is in the mentor space. You have you here, and you've created a bridge over here. This is where you should get incoming any kind of verbal. Anybody talking to you, if they're talking in here, and you can tell it's not you, you just I'm not talking to myself. No, I'm not talking to myself. Who is this? Okay? Run your Maharic seal and push them over there. Say, excuse me. Who are you? Are you me? Are you part of me? And then you find out. But yeah, you don't need to hear stuff in your head. If you want to hear telepathically, so you can have interdimensional communication, which is fine to have it over here so it can't compromise your fields. It's from there that you can visualize the person's rishi. Now, what do rishi look like if we saw them here? Balls of light. They look like balls of light of the three primary colors, which are the pale turquoise, the pale gold, and the pale pink or magenta. So you can see this pretty little three-flame color, ball of light. Let that be a symbol for a person's rishi. It can be any person's rishi, but whoever it is, when they come in, put that symbol over there in the mentor space and say, okay, when you think a thought, you're thinking your telepathic thoughts, and project them over there. And say, this is for this person's rishi. And even if you didn't know their name, you could say, this person. You're taking the energy signature of the person you're identifying, so it will code that into the sphere. And then you ask, say, is everything fine? You may get no response, and that means proceed. You may start to get telepathic communication that says, yes, this is fine, but they're really here for something else. They're really here for this kind of reading, or chakra 4 needs fixing, or they have a field attachment. That's why I guided them here. You may get direct information on what the problem is, and if you get that far where you're getting verbal direction on it, you will probably get their rishi level to also give you the solution to it. So you would say, okay, we're going to do this healing. We're going to do a co-healing here. In other words, that you're going to directly show me what you want me to do after I do what I know how to do. Then it's going to be like maybe chakra work, which you would do after you run the infusion process, or maybe it's something else. Now, we don't recommend attempting field depossession. Right now, the things that are hanging out in people's fields that happen to be possessed are not what used to be when it wasn't a big game. We're in a big game right now, and there's a lot of D11 dark avatars hanging out in people's fields. And these things, even if you're an ascended master here, and even if you run your seals every day, because we're on a planet where the grids are still compromised and we're still using a lot of energy to transmute the grids constantly, there's still a possibility that if you're on a weak day or you're at any level, there's a little tiny weakness. They can blow enough of lower dimensional frequency to make a hole in your Maharic pillar. So this is why until that Maharic pillar can hold permanently, which is 12-strand activation, which nobody can have yet until the grids can sustain it, it is not advisable to attempt depossessions. The most you can do is send it to your own Christos self and your rishi and say, this person needs some help that I can't give. Can you help them up there? Because what's happening right now, our major depossession issues are being handled by the Oversoul and the Avatar and the Rishi levels of the Founders races. So it's not going to be your problem or your job. Your job was, if they were sent to you, your job was simply to let your Avatar self know, found one that needs it. Okay, found one that needs the assistance, and your energy signature helps their Rishi to find them. Because a lot of times when the pillar gets broken, the pillar of light gets broken, between a person on the, the avatar and the rishi level and the person running around down here. It's very difficult for the rishi level to actually locate them in space-time because their flashline sequences are so messed up. It's very difficult to try to reach them with a strong enough current where they can bring them out themselves. So they will often guide the person through little impulses that they can get through into a situation where there's a strong enough field around them where they can make the link. Your field would be that field. Just holding the frequency that you hold, because you can run D12 frequency, would allow their avatar levels and higher to connect with them, and then you're out of the picture. So you don't worry about it. You don't worry about depossessing other people. And if somebody asks you, there's things you can do. You don't want to tell them, no, sorry, I don't do that. I don't do windows, It's like, I don't do chambermaid service, sorry. No, it's what you need to basically tell them. You need to tell them about their Christos self. You need to let them know that they have the ability to do this themselves and that that's how it's supposed to be done, and turn them on to the Maharic Seal Liquid Light Cleanse. If they really want help, if they really care to do it, they will learn it. If they don't, they're probably just sending to mess with you, to get your field close to something that wanted to attach. So there are ways to be in service, but not be a sucker. Because right now, there's a lot of manipulation going on. Once we get to the point where you've made a communication request to the client's Rishi identity, ask them if it's okay to apply this, and if you get no response at all, assume that's a yes. Assume the sale, as they say, because if there's something that the Rishi doesn't want you to do, it'll impulse, or you'll at least, even if you don't get words, get kind of a, ooh, okay, something, I guess I'm not supposed to do that. So you very rarely, I've never seen an occasion where a Rishi level said, no, I don't want you to do a particular thing, to the person. But just, it's polite, it's spiritual etiquette to ask. And sometimes people are very messed up down here. They've come to you already, so they've asked for your services. You're not inflicting them on them. But it's always polite to ask their highest parts, the God within them, which is the part of them that remembers that the God's within them. All right, that's what that's about. It's a spiritual. If you were to just say, I'm going to go heal this person, you might be inflicting your will on them. Another thing, when you're in the healing session process, you may find people who have cancer and they're terminal. You may find people, you may find even children that have horrible sicknesses that you can't fix. You may want more than anything in the world for the person to be healed. And that's the intention you have to hold. You want them to be healed. But if you can realize it's not your job to decide what that means. Because if you were to inflict a healing of that particular cancer, it would be inflicting. Even if it seemed like a good thing to do and it would help them right now. You don't know why they manifested that for themselves. You would be literally overriding your will over their own avatar's will. Sometimes beings come to healers, to healing facilitators, because they're getting ready to transition. They didn't come. They think they came to get their body fixed. What they came to do is get the stuff out of the way so when their body gives out, they can die well. They can cross over well. So you're not going to know on a conscious level what is the divine imprint or the divine blueprint for this person. You're not going to know if they're supposed to have that particular thing fixed or if there's something else that you're actually there for. So if you can not beat up on yourself. See, a lot of healing facilitators will go, oh my God, I couldn't fix them. I didn't heal them. They died. Oh my God, I'm a failure. They died. Look what I did. That's arrogance, personally. It may be disguised as poor me stuff, but it's arrogant. You can't heal them. You can only facilitate their own higher parts healing them. If you can't heal them, you can't kill them either. Okay? So if you take credit for killing them because they came to you, had a healing, and they died 2 days later, there's a twist on that you're also assuming, you're looking at healing in a way that's not healthy for you. You're looking at healing in a way as if you have the power to make a healing happen in someone else, which you do not. You have the power to make a healing happen in you, and you have the power to facilitate another being's soul over soul avatar, etc., in healing themselves. But healing the self is the only thing that takes place. So if we can recognize that, it can really help a lot to lighten up on yourself. Because when you're stuck in that, it's such a subtle difference in that mindset. Most people that would feel terrible because somebody died 2 days after they came to them for a healing session aren't doing it because they're consciously saying, I'm so powerful, I have the power to heal you. Whoops, I messed up on that one. Most people are honestly saying, oh, that's terrible. I feel like a failure. I feel like I should have fixed it. I feel like I should have done something. It's like if I were good at what I did, they wouldn't have died. How do you know? You don't know. They might have died sooner because they came to you, where they might have spent 6 months suffering, being shot up with drugs and strung out on machines, where they would have got trapped in density 1 because their consciousness was so fragmented when they made the transition. So you may have given them enough frequency to make the bridge where they could drop the body and get out of density 1. You may have helped them ascend. So if you're aware of these subtleties, the healing experience will become much more expanded for you. It'll also help you to understand the concept of death even around you, death and health issues. People that get sick are sick for a reason. Now, we all have the core template distortions to work out, but we also learn things through those distortions. People choose illnesses from the middle levels to work out certain issues. And if you were to take every illness away from every person, some of them would be very glad, but others would be very upset with you because you took the lessons they were trying to teach themselves away. Some people who are givers get sick to the point where they're totally flattened and they have to have other people take care of them, to where they're so incapacitated because they're used to being the ones that take care of everybody. They can't let anybody, they can't need anybody. They can be needed, but they can't need anybody. These are people that will sometimes flatten themselves for a year with a disease that's going to make them deal with, they are lovable enough and they can accept love. Even if it means you got to lay on your back for a year because your body's not going to work, which means somebody's going to have to take care of you, which means somebody's going to have to care enough about you, which means you're going to have to accept eventually that somebody cares. So there's a lot of lessons that go down in the healing experience. Don't take responsibility for other people's lessons. You're doing your job and you're doing it well. If you know what you're doing with your technique, you do it to the best of your ability, and you do it in service, not just to the personality, but to the whole identity structure, with their own avatar level and their own rishi as the ones guiding it. You're simply saying, I'm in service to you. The God in you I am in service to. And whatever is divine right order for what I am supposed to give, that is what I'm willing to do. It takes the responsibility for making the choices of what what's supposed to be done here. It takes that off you because it isn't your responsibility. You can help sometimes by sharing ideas with people, pointing them back to their own healing power. It can be hugely helpful. But what it comes down to is don't take on other people's baggage as your own, even if that baggage means they're going to cross over tomorrow. But at the same time, try to share with them that idea. Most people who come for healing facilitation believe they don't have the power to heal themselves. If they believed they had the power to heal themselves, we'd all be obsolete in the healing profession because they wouldn't need to go to anybody else. If you can teach people even a little bit about that and let them know, you don't need me. You really don't. If you make yourself become obsolete, the universe will keep sending you more people to teach that message to. You don't have to worry about, I have 20 clients and that's my only source of income. I got to hold on to them. Some healing facilitators purposely will string out treatments month after month after month to bilk money out of the people. What they do that out of usually isn't malice. It's personal fear of their own financial issues. So they make the people dependent on them so they can keep sucking energy off them. Now, this is not true healing. It's exploitation. But the people doing it usually don't realize that that's what they're doing. If you can give a message to each person who comes to you as a client for facilitation, that, by the way, just thought I'd let you know, it might take 1 or 2 or 3 sometimes sessions. Sometimes they'll have to come back for another Maharic recoding because it won't hold for very long, depending on how much frequency they're on. Give them the option. Say, well, you could come back for another treatment or 2. You do need a few more, you need this done some more. But instead of coming back to me, you could learn this instead. and turn them on to it. Turn them on to at least how to run the Maharic seal so they can do it for themselves. And be glad when they go away and don't come back to you because they need you. That means you did your job really well. If they go away and they don't need you to facilitate healing anymore, that's absolutely wonderful. Okay? You actually did a huge service to them. So try to do that. Try to get rid of your clients as fast as possible, as lovingly as possible. And you do it by teaching them they have the power to heal themselves, teaching them about their Christos self. If they're Jewish and they don't want to hear the word Christ, that's okay. Tell them about their D12 prematter template. All right? Tell them about their Shaddai pillar of first cause light, because that comes out of the Jewish text. All right? There's lots of words. This is a universal thing. It belongs to all of us. But people might not want to hear about it if they're not open to the word Christos, because they think it means Christian. It thinks it means you have to worship something that died on a cross and you have to be manipulated by this control dogma. So be sensitive to your clients and where they're coming from if you can. Now, when it comes to the session itself, you get through here, you're still before client arrives. You create a calm, pleasant environment where you won't be interrupted by a phone or other distractions. This means do not have such disrespect for your process and your client that you would actually have the nerve to have your cell phone with you while you're doing a healing facilitation. That is so disrespectful. You might do it in the office. You might do it at a ball game. You might even do it on a date, which isn't too great. but this is a sacred space you're creating. Cell phones out. Okay? If it's that important, these sessions don't take 20 hours. Okay? You're involved with here, that has respect for the avatar that you are, that's facilitating you with this, and respect for the avatar of the person who's coming, and respect for source, respect for the process. Okay? So the environment will be peaceful and calm, hopefully. Now, if you're in a place where it's loud, you do your best to not have the neighbors drive you crazy. You create as much of a sound buffer as you can. If you live in an apartment building with 1 million people running around and kids screaming all over the place, you'll have to learn to deal with that, or find a place where you can facilitate that's more quiet. If it's not available, you make do with what you have available, and ask for some help. If you have a client coming over and you're in a very loud apartment building and there's sound coming all over the place, put out a little plea of, please assist in this healing to the avatars of all the people making all the noise in your area, and ask, can you please help them to tone it down just a little for this little space and time. You can also project some D12 frequency up through your heart chakra and push it out for like all around your apartment building to form a buffer. Okay, just a little buffer wall. So the sound might still be there. You're not inflicting your will on anybody. You're not stopping them from making sound. But it's buffering it a little so it's not so disturbing to you. Because sound is frequency, is vibration, which means it's going to have some effect on running currents and on your client's ability to hold those currents. Okay? Now, okay, I'll get there. Yeah. But what time is it? It's 4:15 already? How'd that happen? Jeez. We were doing really good on time there. I was amazed, like, wow, we're going at a good pace here. I better hurry up. Okay? All right. Now, this is optional. This will help, again, to activate the 8 subharmonics in all of your strands. Sing 3 rounds of the Uriya Kumnare. That's the Omeda song. That'll just begin to build more of the frequency on the 8 subharmonics in your template. That's a way of amplifying. You can also use the Vecca code exercises that we'll learn tonight. And this is, I suggest doing these because there's a little trick with running one of them. I think it's the Akasha code that if you run this in your own system, and don't worry about trying to give it to the client or anything, it'll literally activate, there's little tiny vortices in the tips of your fingers. It'll activate those naturally, and you'll start transmitting Akasha code, which is the highest code there is. It corresponds to the God seed level, which is above the primal sound fields. It's the connection between source and the primal sound fields. It will actually activate on its own and transmit subharmonics while you're doing your own thing. You don't have to worry about where it's going. It just follows the rest of the stuff you're doing. So you would use that up in here too. It's not on here because we just got this information. This is the new stuff, the Akasha code stuff coming in tonight. All right. When the client arrives, you can apply the comfort touch. That's this one. If the Rishi gave remote permission, if you got the feeling that, yeah, okay, that's a good thing to do. Sit with the client for a little bit And in this text, and do you know what page that's on? There's a client agreement form. Now this was done particularly for the United States to protect people from getting persecuted. What was that? I'm sorry. 202? Okay. The client agreement form was meant specifically for the states. I don't know what Canadian law is, but in the states it was meant to protect the healing facilitators from getting accused of stuff by the American Medical Association, which likes to nail anybody holistic to a cross if they can. Healing, particularly in New York City, they have some extra special laws, and that's where this was given, first of all, in New York City. It helps to go over this with the client so they understand, first of all, what this agreement is you're making. You're going to do this for them. You're not claiming to diagnose. You're not claiming to do any of those things. Because I don't know if Canadian law is anything like American law, but if you're claiming to diagnose, you're going to have a fine or you're going to go to jail, because that's considered practicing medicine without a license. All right? Now, you have a certificate from a course that teaches you how to do subtle body healing, but that is not part of an accredited college. Therefore, you are subject to legal interference. So this client agreement was worded in a way to protect, to do two things. To help the client understand what they could expect and what they can't expect. If they're coming in expecting you to fix them, that you're going to clear that up, because that's not a healthy attitude for them to have anyway. It's also putting a lot of responsibility on you. If you don't do miracle cure in like 2 days, they're going to start bad-mouthing you and calling you and hassling you that you didn't do your job, I want my money back, and that's nonsense too. That's a game. But the client agreement form should be discussed. If you read it to your client quick so they see what it is, and if you're in a position where you're afraid of what the legal aspects are, sign it. Like, have them sign it. So there's a record that they have made an agreement with you and that they understand this agreement, because that's right in the form. It's kind of like, do you understand the terms of this interaction that we're doing? Yes, we do. Okay. So they agreed to it, so they can't come back at you later. Now it's like paranoia from the United States, where you have to watch your back all the time because people are suing everybody all over the place. I mean, it's ridiculous. A while back, there was a woman who drank a cup of coffee at McDonald's, and it was really hot, and she burned her tongue, poor baby, and she sued McDonald's and got a huge amount of money because their coffee was too hot. So, excuse me, if I burn my mouth, I can say, gee, that was dumb. I should have blown on it first. You know what I mean? I don't go sue the people who gave me the coffee, for goodness sake. But in the States, this stuff is getting scary. So, what you want to do with the client agreement form, I'm not sure. You can use it as a model if you want to, and adapt it to what your needs are here in Canada. But it gives you an idea of some of the things you might want to cover, because in the States you have to be very, very particular. Or a lawyer will take it and say, but it didn't say this, it could have meant this, right? So anyway, that's what that's for. This would be the time when the client arrives to do the comfort touch to help them relax. Sit with them for a little bit. Just say hi, just want to get to know you a little bit. You're so-and-so, especially if it's somebody you don't know at all. Okay? Go through the client agreement form or your adaptation of it, and secure the client's signature if you're worried about legal ramifications. You want to know that there's a clear agreement here, and that you're not telling them you're going to do anything like fix them, like make them better. You're not telling them that they're not allowed to do medical treatment. You're not interfering with the normal system process. So that's where the signature would come in. Okay? Offer the client the option of audio taping the session for the client's at-home review, which means have a tape player, a cassette player handy, and only if the client wants it to be taped, because sometimes you'll find you're running the process and you start to get impressions, and you want to share them with them. I'm feeling this, or I'm feeling that. Now, you can also help your client. Now, wouldn't it be more fun as a client to lay there, and as the healer was doing their thing, they're not just going around you, right? They're saying, and now I'm seeing this, and this is what I'm doing here, and this, and I'm going to do this now, and this is what this is going to do. It becomes interesting. You engage them in the process. So you can start to do that, like explain to them, okay, now I'm going down here at your feet, and there's something called your Maharic shield down here, and this has to do with your divine blueprint. I mean, you can do that. You can take it as far or not as far as you want to. But this is why, especially if you're going to do that, they may very well want an audio tape of that, because you just taught them something. They got not just a healing, they got a class, right? So it's worth having, the option to give them, to let them have the option of that. Now, as far as applying the techniques, it's very simple. 6-step technique application sequence. Start with technique number 2. This is after the client is here. Now at this point the client is in your healing room, preferably on a comfortable like massage table or something, because it is better to run this if a person's laying down. You can do it sitting. If you happen to have somebody in a wheelchair or something that can't go horizontal, you can do it like we did it today. But the person can relax better if if they can go horizontal. So you get the person in position in the room. Technique number 2. The Maharic seal and the liquid light cleanse. You run yours there to seal and align your personal fields. You'll learn to run this really, really quick, where you use the Hierophant, drop it down, bring it back up into the Maharic shield, expand it out, bring it back up here, bring it into the heart chakra, bring it up there, run it up the Kathara grid, and you're sealed. You'll learn to do it in seconds. All right, it takes some practice, but you will learn to do it where it becomes like breathing. You want to do it here instead of here. I mean, you can do it here. But if you do it here, you have more D12 frequency available for you to run the session. You also have more frequency available for a protection seal on your own fields. All right, next, do sequence 1 Kathara points massage. First year points. Now if you want to put this up here, you can, but that means you'd have to put this up here too. So these two, you have an option. You can put them up as a before the fact, but it's preferable to do them here so you still have a lot of live D12 frequency running. But after you do that, after technique 2, wherever you put it, you do sequence 1 Kathara points massage. First year points to get yours activated, which is activating those little lines between the Kathara grids. Then do it to the clients to open up the Kathara lines. Okay, so you're going to open up the Kathara lines on you and the client. All right, then you would do technique 3, opening the healing channels to activate your diuretic phase 1 healing current. All right, first you would do this here. After a while, you will be able, your currents will actually stay on for quite a while. But when you first start doing this, you'll do your activation, and then 7 minutes later, you may find they start to shut down again. So until you've worked with it for at least 6 months or so, it's good to do this after the client comes, because if you do it up here, by the time you get the client settled and all that stuff, your current's probably shut off. So you would do technique 3 after the sequence 1 Kathara points, opening the healing channels to activate your diuretic phase 1 healing current. And again, the more you do this, it'll start to become automatic, where you don't have to pull out your book and go through all the steps to do it, where you just put the purple dot up there, run the green thing together, point, there they are. And you'll even get to the point where you can start commanding them, where once you've run something a few times, particularly if you're using the other combinations of currents, once you've run them, give yourself 3 months of running them the long way when you have time to practice it. Then you can just start to you can name them into manifestation, diuretic 1, and it will activate. And it will just come in instantly. And it will be diuretic 1 current. But it won't be diuretic 1 current if you don't take the time for about 3 months to program it in, to get your body used to that. And this is why your mental body needs to know what the name of that is. So when you get to that point, you can call it up and it will come. All right, so you do technique 3. Now if you're at the point where it pops in, you just, in your mind, go, diuretic 1. Ready. Okay. Then technique 4, amplify inner audio-visual and Kathara scan to locate the miasms for healing in the client's Kathara grid. This is important to do because the Kathara scan, and just don't ever call it a diagnosis if you're in America. All right, this is going to give you a clue as to what part of the person's Kathara grid needs the most frequency infused into it. So you'd want to put more frequency there. Now, you don't have to go through all of the steps, because after a while, you'll know just to bring up Maharic frequency and run it through the Kathara center, and the Kathara centers for D5 and D6, and into the corresponding chakra, and just pull it through. You can even get to the point where the Kathara center knows it's supposed to activate, and you just pull it up and push it through the chakra to turn your higher sight on a little higher, and to turn on your inner sound abilities a little higher. And at that point, you can very quickly project the Hierophant into their pineal, run it down real quick, bring it back up, pop their Maharic shield, bring it back up, take the imprint, look at it, go, okay, and it can be done in probably 20 seconds. So you'll get to the point where these become very, very fast. They're long and drawn out, and they take a lot of words to write them down. But once you become used to using them, they become quite automatic. You're still activating them manually because the planetary grids won't allow them to run unless you activate them manually. But it doesn't always have to take forever to do it. So you would do technique number 4, so you can get the Kathara scan on their grid. Then the big one, you do technique number 5. That's the Maharic infusion. That's where you lay, where they're laying down the table. You go to their feet first, activate their Maharic shield, then you do the thing on the feet, then you go up around their head. All right, you do that to activate the client's Maharic shield and seal, which is protecting them from picking up anything in the room or any place else. Bless you. Then recode the client's Kathara grid to the Maharic shield and clear miasmic buildups. This is what this process is doing for them. It's going to activate their Maharic shield and seal, very possibly for the first time in many, many eons. It's going to begin the recoding process on their Kathara grid, because the D12 divine blueprint frequencies are going to be flowing into their Kathara grid now. So you're beginning their process, just like you started yours by running the liquid light cleanse. Okay? And it's going to begin to clear miasmic buildups. This is where the Vecca codes come in tonight, where I told you could add them up here, the exercise that goes with Vecca code activation, particularly the Akasha, because down and through here, clearing miasmic buildups, if you're running Vecca frequency, you don't have to do anything different than what these regular steps would be. But if you've already activated your, for your personal benefit, your Akasha code frequencies, these will begin transmitting in to the dyadic grid of the person you're working on. It'll go into the little vortices. Your little finger chakras will have this relationship with the little dyadic grid vortices, and they'll communicate with each other. And the vortices of the person's body will pull what's needed from the fingertip chakras. What this is going to do is begin that process that we're going to begin tonight of rolling over the entire miasmic body very quickly. All right? So you're giving them the gift of the Akasha codes and the Vecca codes. So that would help with this part. And it's like not here because we didn't get it until recently. 5 is optional. You're going to apply a light touch massage to miasmic areas, to areas that you saw in the Kathara scan are built up. Another way to tell where there's miasms, ask them where it hurts. Pain is telling you something. It's telling you there's miasmic buildup in that area and in the chakra corresponding to that area and all the things corresponding to that chakra. Your body is very, very good at telling you when something is wrong. It simply hurts or feels stiff or there is something wrong in it or it's had an injury. Even if it was in a car accident. The parts of your body that will get injured in a car accident have a miasmic program that they're running that drew that whole series of events to you. There are no accidents. There are just unfortunate creations sometimes. So you can massage the areas that you're feeling miasmic buildup or where it's hurting. Gently massage. This is where you might want to use also the aromatherapy oils if they're comfortable with that. Or you can employ other healing therapies here, like if you've studied Reiki or something. Reiki is not bad unto itself. It came out of the Draconian matrix. It was originally a Draconian healing system. However, it can be used with the Maharic frequency. We didn't get that time like we did in the States at that one. The whole room sighed and kind of went... But then there's good news on the other end of that. What's really frustrating is the fact that most people had to pay $10,000 to get a master's certificate in it. Yeah, that's the real sigh. Now, the Reiki system isn't bad. It's just completely incomplete. If it's run by itself, there's a bunch of code reversals in it that are meant to twist your DNA template. Now, the people teaching it don't know that any more than the people who went to become students so they could teach it. They don't know that. This twist has been in there for so long that the twisted codes have been passed on from the beginning. However, they can be used and corrected. If you're running D12 frequency in your body and you're running your pale silver current, run the Reiki codes on the pale silver current and it'll put them back to be what they're supposed to be and bring out their divine blueprint. So they won't hurt, they'll help. It just may get the Draconian matrix a little upset that they're using their healing system and the divine blueprint. You know? And there are some things in Reiki, I've not studied it, but there are some things that are worth using because they work with the outer layers of the field, so they can make some corrections, especially if you're working with them in the divine blueprint. Because you're working on the Kathara level, those symbols can work on the outer levels as long as you're running them through the D12 current. So this is where you would put other things. You can do chakra work there. You can do direct infusion through your palm chakras, transmitting hand with this on the back, and literally run D12 frequency. Just call them the pale silver. Just view it pale silver coming out if you only want to do Maharic frequency, or do the whole Doradic current through, right into the chakras if you want to. That's another thing you can do, and it will help facilitate the outer layers to take on the divine blueprint more quickly than just doing it in the core template. That's where you do all those extra stuff. Aromatherapy, if you happen to do reincarnational readings, that kind of stuff, This is where you'd put it after we got all this accomplished.
What about actual stuff like Touch for Health?
Touch for Health?
Body Talk or Body Talk?
Body talk?
Okay, which ones are they? I've not studied those programs. It doesn't matter which program. That's where you would place them. You could take them for another hour into another healing modality. See, any healing modality it does something for you. If it's been corrupted or it started corrupted, it'll do something negative, but not if you're running the D12 current. So you can use any healing system. The only thing we suggest is don't use like mental body programming stuff that's teaching false stuff, where people are buying into this, where you're saying, oh, one thing with the healing stuff, a lot of times people that get into the more out there aspects of healing say, oh, the angels are with us now, call on angel so-and-so. Kathara healers will never, ever, ever tell a client to do that, and they won't do it themselves either. All right? So you can use those other healing systems there, but it's very important to, if you can in your own way, help them understand as well. They don't need to call on angels or anything else. Some might suggest to you, oh, I'm going to call in the Mahatma energy, or I'm going to call in Mother Mary, or I'm going to call in somebody. Tell them to call them in when they get home if they need to. But right here, it's their Christos self that's present, and right now it would be disrespectful to their Christos self and to Source to invade the party. You can put it mildly to them, but try to get them out of the habit of calling stuff in to fix it for them. Okay? All right. Then to end the thing, you would do the Sequence 2 Kathara points massage on the client. This would revitalize the outer body systems. Whatever work you did up through here, it will begin to kick it up through the outer body systems, and it will give you more frequency, give them more frequency to use with the divine blueprint on it. So this is where it may even help to, like if they came to you because they have a certain something that needs to be fixed, they may actually get a temporary fix on it. The fix is going to go back if they don't run Maharic frequency enough to reset the divine blueprint at critical mass. But you may actually get quick fixes if you incorporate these. But the fixes, they'll have to work with you. They'll have to work on the Maharic seal or keep coming back to somebody who can run the Maharic seal for them until the Maharic seal reaches critical mass where the divine blueprint is stronger than the distorted blueprint. All right? Now, you'd allow the client to rest a few minutes. It's not one of those where, okay, you've been here 45 minutes, the other one's waiting outside. Okay, nice to know you. Great Maharic seal you got there. Bye. I've seen people that do that. It's like a conveyor belt. They run through their healing office. Doctors tend to do that. You get about 2.5 minutes with your doctor that you waited 3 hours to see. You know what I mean? You let them lay there for a bit so the energies can stabilize in the system. They might fall asleep a little bit. And if they do, that's okay. Give them about 10 to 15 minutes if they fall asleep, and then very gently wake them up. Like, don't take a pan and a spoon and go, bang, time to go. But you can use a timer. A timer that you put out in the other room where it's not right by them, where they're not going to they're not going to go ah when they wake up and their hair stands on end. But something that will rouse them, because you don't need them sleeping at your house for 4 hours or anything like that. Especially if somebody else needs a table that's waiting out in the waiting room. All right, but try to give them what they need as far as time. Some of them may feel dehydrated after this because the body needs more fluids and liquids. Have some water there, some spring water to offer them. And offer them a cup of water. That's a good way to get them to wake up too. If they're starting to fall asleep, you start to see them going, and maybe they don't need to go all the way, and you kind of, okay, oh, why don't I give you some water now? Your body really needs to keep hydrated after something like this, and then you kind of go, oh, okay, you're bringing them back into focus here, because some will zone out. They'll get so into the energy run and stuff that they just space out and fall asleep while you're working on them. So you can give them water before you leave if you can. That's very helpful to them. Okay, when a client leaves, to ensure that your biofields are clear while the Diuretic 1 current is still running in your body, draw the energy up from Earth's Maharic shield and run Maharata current through your Kathara grid and your body. Run it through the Kathara grid and your body again. You already have it activated. It's already activated in there, so you don't have to go through all the processes of getting it reactivated. But bring it up through the Kathara centers in your own body again. Just pull it up in and blow it out the top. Let it run a bit. And you can also pull it up and literally blow it through all your cells on every level. See all your chakras turning pale silver. See all your cells turning pale silver. You can do this even when you're not trying to clear your fields for after a healing session. You can do this to energize your own fields. All right, but this will make sure that if you picked up anything from running the currents. If there was any weakness in the D12 frequency you were running that allowed a hole to be in the Maharic seal and you happen to pick something up, this will blow it out of your field so you don't go home with, you don't take on their stuff. All right? Here's what I do. The technique is there. It says, while the current's still running, draw energy up from Earth's Maharic shield to run the Mahara current through your Kathara grid and body, up to chakra 14, back down to chakra 13, then push the pillar, silver light, okay, the pillar around you, out of chakra 4, and exhale to release it around the body and into the auric field. So you'd be running the energy and then finally pulling it in here and releasing it out through the 4th chakra around into your astral field. If you want to clear your astral field, run the Maharata current, make a ball in your 4th chakra, and push it out. We'll use the breath to, then it goes into the chakra, and then it goes from the chakra through the seal out into the auric field level, which is the astral field in the 4th chakra. Okay? Okay, then the last thing you do is next you massage your sequence 2 Kathara points to revitalize your biosystems and to close your Kathara lines, because you don't need them open anymore. You don't need them to keep cycling their energy anymore. And that's really all you have to remember are those 6 things. You can use your own modification of those. You can add some things to it, but that's the place to add it, down here where optional goes. All right. This is how you can get the best out of whatever healing modality you've been using before, and you can learn a lot too, because Kathara healing will teach you as you go along. You will start to learn more technique will come to you.